Here we are. We are in the ultimate tier list of the year 2024. What I have done here is I have compiled a list of literally every single game that I played in 2024. This could be on stream, off stream, just every single game I played. And I'm going to rank them on this tier list. Now, the tiers are Game of the Year. I'm only going to put one game in Game of the Year. So what I will do is I will put all the games in the middle three categories, and then we will decide what moves from Jud Jame to Game of the Year. Then we've got Jud Jame, meaning it's a Jud Jame, that needs no more explanation. Then in the middle we've got An Game. This is a game that is definitively An Game. It's not really one way or the other, but it is definitely An Game. Then we have Little Stinky, meaning a game that is like not atrociously bad, but it's got a little bit of stink on it. Maybe more bad than good, or maybe just not worth the time it takes to play it. A little bit stinky, but not like an insult. And then at the very bottom, we've got the Stink of the Year. That is the singular most stinky game. And that is where one game will move down to the Stink of the Year. So we will have one game in Game of the Year and one game in Stink of the Year. So I guess let's get straight into it and just go over the games on the list. So these first four, Alan Wake 2, Northern Journey, Dredge, and Sunless Sea, these are all games that I technically played in 2023, but the final month of 2023, and I'll let all the smart people in the chat figure out what month that is. I had no internet access. I couldn't stream anything. I couldn't really upload anything. I was just locked on my own in the cold with games. And so I kind of lump that in with 2024 because basically 2023 ended when I had no internet and I couldn't do anything else. So these all have honorary mentions. Alan Wake 2, Northern Journey, Dredge, and Sunless Sea. Okay, all the smarties in the chat are showing off that they know the final month of the year. What a show off. I will also say, before we get started, Monday, I will say before we get started that because this is literally every single game I played, this includes games I didn't really like. This is everything I played. So this isn't just going to be me saying games that are great. There have got to be some games here that I just didn't really like, or that I just didn't really think was very exciting at all. So it will be a little bit more negative than I usually am. I'm usually just trying to be positive, but not all of these will be hits. By the way, here's the full list. Here's the full list of everything I played in 2024. All these games. So, let's get started with Alan Wake 2. Now, I have a special treat for you as well, chat, which is this. Visuals. So that you're not just staring at a tier list. There's actually some visuals so you can see. If sometimes I want to explain a game, and it might be a bit boring if there's literally no visuals, here you go. So yeah, Alan Wake 2, it is a sequel to Alan Wake. I played Alan Wake 1 ages ago, and I remember almost nothing about it. It was kind of like something that just kind of passed through my brain and went out the other side. I had no real big opinions about it. However, Remedy, the people who make the Alan Wake games, are on an absolute roll lately. They're absolutely smashing it. And the Alan Wake... well, Control and Alan Wake 2. So I'm getting a bit distracted because I'm watching the trailer. I need to not look at that. That's just for you. That's just for you. Alan Wake and Control are basically those developers stretching their legs and trying lots of really fancy stuff. Alan Wake 2 has one of the most convoluted and confusing plots in video games. But it's kind of the point? I don't know. So oh my god, deluxe pre-order, but I'm going to take that off the screen because it is actually quite distracting. Maybe I will only utilize the visuals rarely because it is super distracting and it's very hard to keep my train of thought. So Alan Wake 2, yeah, so it is a third-person action game at its heart, and it has a lot of weird meta stuff. It's very fun. It is 100% in the Jud Jame category. The visuals are nice. I really like its stylistic decisions. It's definitely up in Judgame. By the way, I will be ranking these within the tiers. So if I have a game that is a Judgame as well, but it is better than Alan Wake 2, I will put it above Alan Wake 2. So it will not just be sticking everything in Judgame, I will be ordering them within Judgame. So there's a lot of infighting. You can see your favorites fight. What is SOTY? That is Stink of the Year. For the most stinky game of the year. Only one game will go here. And we'll decide that at the end of the tier list. But anyway, Alan Wake 2 is a good game. I enjoyed that a lot. The next game I played when I had no internet is Northern Journey. Now, this one I do believe I need to show you a little bit of, because you will have no idea what this is. Let me find a trailer. There we go. Oops, there it is. So Northern Journey is a very old style game. It looks like a PC game from like 2002. It looks really old, and it has like really difficult gameplay. Like, it's really unforgiving. It's very easy to die, and the gameplay is a little bit jank. But what it does have is a lot of personality. I love the music and the vibes. It's got like a very ethereal vibe. The music is very drony and synthy. It's a lot of fun. I really, really liked it. The trailer had a frame drop. When did this trailer come out? 3 years ago. It maybe did come out near the launch of the game, actually. I was going to say maybe it's early footage, but I don't think it is. But Northern Journey's really good. I really do like Northern Journey. I would say it's definitely Judd. This game kept me company during those cold winter nights with no internet. Also, a really good thing about Northern Journey is that because it feels like a game from 2002, me not having any internet, it kind of made it feel even more authentic, because I couldn't look up a guide. It was just me and the game, and I just had to get good at it. And it goes here. It goes here for me, in Judgame. Below Alan Wake 2, though. It definitely goes below Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 was like a kind of a very auteur experience. It was very high production value, very interesting. Northern Journey is also like a very special, unique experience, but I would actually rank Northern Journey pretty high, but I do rank Alan Wake 2 higher, for sure. For sure. Why did I have no internet? I lost internet, and then to get internet back, I had to upgrade my internet. And that required people to come out to where I live, and that took a month. So I had no internet. And Northern Journey was keeping me warm during that period of time. Another game that was keeping me warm is Dredge. Now, I don't know if anyone here knows Dredge. This one is probably a very well-known one among my audience, I would imagine. Dredge is kind of like, it's a fishing game meets a horror game. Although the horror isn't, I wouldn't call it actually scary horror. It's more like horror themed. It's a fishing game where you can catch eldritch fish. There we go. This is Dredge. So you control this ship. You drive around in the ocean. You can upgrade your ship. You can get better and bigger fishing rods. There you go. You can see everything that is stored in your ship. You catch fish, and there you go. They caught an octopus there. And you can catch fancier and more ugly versions of octopi as you play. There's NPCs and quests and storylines, and it's just a very solid game. Yeah, no, the visuals are very, very pretty. This one was great. I beat this happily. Something that you may notice about games I play is that sometimes I just don't beat them. I did beat Alan Wake 2, I did beat Northern Journey, and I did beat Dredge. Dredge is also a good game. Chat, we're getting off to an incredible start. An absolutely fantastic start. Now, do I rank Dredge above Northern Journey? Man, That's tough, actually, because they're really close. Because Northern Journey gave me a feeling of like playing something long forgotten and old. That was really satisfying. And you'll see that that is maybe a thing that makes me happy, because something else later on the list is going to also appeal and scratch that itch. But Dredge is very polished and very well made. You know what? Because it's basically exactly the same, and because the chat are warmer on this one, I'm going to pop it above Northern. There we go. So far we've got Alan Wake 2, Dredge, and Northern Journey. I think that's right. I think Alan Wake 2 is above Dredge. But it's pretty solid. Talking of Judd James, we've got yet another water-based game that I played during that cold December. I don't know why so many of the games I played involved ships and water, but I played Sunless Sea during December as well. Let me find Sunless Sea for you. Here we go. Now, if you don't like watery horror, this is another one that may be not for you. In this one, you play, it's a top-down view, and it's very much like a resource management RPG, where you have to do deliveries and discoveries and exploration in an extremely unforgiving map with monsters and stuff like that. There are like big monsters in the water. It's kind of a lot. Eat your crew. You can eat your crew. You can die. You can scream. It's pretty good. There's lots of insanity at play. This is another Eldritch game. There's insanity at play where when you're out in the dark ocean for a while, your crew will go insane. And also you maybe want to be in the dark because having your light on means that things are going to attack you more. So you've got to balance staying undercover and driving your crew insane. I did like Sunless Sea, but I actually think it's below all of these. I still think this is a Judd James. You'll notice that, generally speaking, I only play games that I'm pretty confident are going to be Judd. So Sunless Sea goes below all of these, but is still a Judd James. I found Sunless Sea... I probably put the most hours into Sunless Sea of these two. However, a lot of that was, like, admittedly fairly tense, but a lot of driving through empty ocean. And it was tense because I didn't know if my crew was going to go insane. I didn't know if I was going to run out of fuel. I didn't know if something bad would happen. I didn't know if a big fish would eat me. But it was, I would say, moment to moment, less of a game experience than these. So I'm going to put it down here. You can die, so clearly Game of the Year. Can you die in all of these? I don't think you can die in Dredge. I think you just respawn at the town and they go, oh boy, you washed up. So I don't think you can die in this, but you could definitely die in the others. Pretty good. A tier above, Game of the Year, Game of the Decade. Are you a big fan of Sunless Sea, Aviator? Are you a Sunless Sea stan? Are you a Stanless Sea? All right, next up we've got the big dog. We've got Balatro. How many people in the chat have played Balatro? Or Balatro? I never know which emphasis you're supposed to put on it, and I've seen videos where people change their pronunciation within the video. Like, they'll start by going, Balatro is a game. Balatro is my favorite thing. Like, they'll change throughout the video. So I'm not particularly fussy myself about which way I pronounce it. Okay? Yeah, a lot of people in the chat have played it. A lot of people in the chat have played it. It's in my library, says Weird Dead Z. Crack it open. Balatro is how Garfield fan says. So, Balatro, I mean, I don't know if it really needs an explanation, but just in case you don't know, I guess I can bring gameplay up on screen. I'm getting an advert for CD keys. Go away, please. That is why you don't watch a trailer on IGN, I guess. Please go away. The trailer is just not ending. It's just not ending. Please go away. Thank you. There we go. Thank you, IGN. It's poker but awesome. Sure is. So Balatro is a poker roguelike where you basically have these jokers at the top of the screen. Where you have those jokers at the top of the screen and they affect how you play. So this is going to be quite hard to explain and the visuals are quite distracting. So I'm going to have to kind of cover my eyes so that I'm not looking over there. But basically, Balatro is poker, but you can have modifiers on your score, and you score based on the rareness of your poker hands. You can have modifiers by a thing called jokers, and the jokers that you happen to get in your run can dramatically affect how you score, how high you can score, what you can do, what sort of hands you should play, what sort of hands you shouldn't play, all sorts of things. And that is random every time, and there are 150 of those jokers. So every single run of Balatro can change dramatically. It is poker in a way, but you do not need to know poker to play it, because so much of the strategy isn't even based around poker. So much of the strategy is based 100% around the jokers, which is a thing that was invented for this game. So yeah, it is a very unique game on this list. Someone says gambling cancelled. Have you heard about this, by the way? Balatro got rated 18 plus by the European Ratings Board because of gambling. But here's the thing, chat. Balatro has no gambling. There's literally no gambling in it. You can't bet. You can't place bets. You can't win bets. There's no gambling. The only thing in the game that looks like gambling is that there are playing cards. And somehow it got ranked 18 plus for gambling. Which is pretty funny, that playing cards can apparently get your game rated 18 plus. Yes, Solitaire is the spiciest 18 plus game. Please keep Solitaire away from our children. It is corrupting the youth. Yeah. So I think in America it might be rated more appropriately, but in Europe I believe it is an 18 plus game. It's probably because it's poker. Yeah, but it's not poker. There are poker hands, like you can play a flush, but it doesn't really even work like poker. Not really. The poker hands are involved, but it's not a game of poker. You're not playing against anybody. And you're not even playing poker, where you have 2 cards. And the rest of the board has 5. In Balatro, you have like 8, and there is no cards in the middle. So yeah, it's really nothing like poker, other than the hands. But yeah. Well, no, the developer's doing just fine. Like, Local Thunk is fine. He's not gonna go broke because of this. He's totally fine. The game sold gangbusters. No, you can't bet anything. No, there's no betting at all. Which is also funny because there are like Nintendo branded DS games where you go to a casino and Luigi lets you play blackjack. Like, why is that not an 18 rated game? It's pretty silly. But anyway, Balatro is a judge game and it is right at the top. It is right at the top. This is an entirely gameplay driven game. All of these have an element of story. Balatro is just gameplay, 100% gameplay, and the gameplay is great. I've played this for 140 hours off stream, I believe. I've played this the most out of any game on this list apart from one. It is a very, very good game, and it is it's a good, strong contender for being the eventual winner of Game of the Year. For me. But anyway, it goes right at the top. Really solid. I don't think I sold it very well. Maybe I will try and explain what these games are without the visuals as a treat. So that I can not get distracted. Because I do feel like I speak less well as soon as I'm playing a video on screen. So I'll try and wing it for a little bit. Next up, we have this guy, which is Rental. I don't know if any of you know what this is, just from the visuals. This is a very small indie game. I believe it might have even been free. And the reason why I know about this, and the reason why almost everyone knows about this, is because there is a viral tweet /viral video that always shows up on Twitter, which is of this cute little rabbit walking down a corridor holding a candle. And for a very brief second, you see like a monstery foot in the darkness behind her as she's walking through a corridor. And it's like a really strong vibe. It feels like Animal Crossing horror. And I think everyone who's played Rental came to it from that video and were expecting Animal Crossing horror. Rental isn't that. In fact, like, very unfortunately, I don't really care for Rental. I didn't really get much out of it. It lasted for about 30 minutes. The gameplay was walking around, and there were occasional flashes of, like, a monster, but the monster can't kill you, and the monster does nothing. And then you walk around some more, and then you get to the end credits, and nothing really happens. The idea of the visuals is kind of the appeal, but there isn't really anything else to Rental. That's it. The viral video that leads people to Rental is more interesting than Rental, sadly. And I say sadly because I would have really loved Rental to be good, because I really like how it looks. But I just I remember walking from room to room to room to room and getting a flash of a monster and thinking, oh man, something's gonna happen. One of these times that monster's gonna appear and something's gonna happen. And it never happened. It was just like walking and collecting items, using item, collect an item for like 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and then it's over. It was pretty poor. I do sadly have to put it in Little Stinky. However, I followed the developer for this on Twitter, and I believe they are making another game. And I have faith that their next game will have more going on. Also, like I say, I do believe this is like free or something. So it's like, it being down here isn't me saying like anyone should feel bad. But it's just like, I don't even think I could say it's an game, because I'm not even sure if it's an game. Is it even a game? It's more like a proof of concept of an art style than it is a game. So, yeah, I'm going to put it down in Little Stinky. I really wish I could put it anywhere else, because I really wanted to like this one, but there just wasn't really anything in it for me, sadly. It's an experience. I don't even know if I experienced much with Dead Z, to be honest. I don't even know if I experienced anything. Ow, Oni. You know what? I know from when I uploaded the VOD for Ow Oni, there were a lot of people in the comments who were very, very excited for me to play Ow Oni. They were like, yes, you're playing a game from my childhood. It's so good to see you play Ow Oni. So that makes me feel bad. I think I'm going to put it in Little Stinky, but it's above Rental, because it does have gameplay. But Ow Oni was incredibly frustrating. There was definitely more gameplay and definitely more to do. I like the stupid looking guy. He looks very funny. I like his stupid face. But I feel like if I pretended I was neutral on it, it would be a disservice. Because I was, by and large, frustrated with this game. More than anything else. Well, you see, Tremak says those streams were a lot. Now, here's the thing, Tremak. It was only one stream. But it sure felt like multiple streams, huh? Goodness me. I'm putting it in Little Stinky. I know it's a classic in the RPG horror oeuvre, and I respect its legacy. And I also respect that it is so iconic. But if I'm ranking this, honestly, of games I played this year, it's stinky. My time with it was mostly stinky. So it's at the top of Little Stinky. Basically, it is like a game that has got good things about it, but overall my experience was stinky. So it lives there. It lives there. It's above the other Little Stinky, indeed. Next up, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Now, I don't know if anyone in the chat knows about the Yakuza or Like a Dragon series. We are now, fans of this series, are cursed for all eternity to have to say Yakuza or Like a Dragon, because they changed the name of the series like 9 entries in. I know that Like a Dragon is only Yakuza 7, but there's been spin-offs. So they basically changed the name of the series 9 entries in. It was always called Like a Dragon in Japan, but in the West it was always called Yakuza, and now it's called Like a Dragon. So if I call it the Yakuza series, then that's confusing because it doesn't say Yakuza anymore. But anyway, they changed it to Like a Dragon, and they changed it to Like a Dragon in tandem with them changing who the protagonist was. And the thing about Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, it is a subgenre of game that I like to call AAA games where you hang out with your mates. And this and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which we will get to later, it's somewhere in here, are both that genre of AAA games about hanging out with your mates. The mate hanging out with stuff in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is very good. Very good hanging out with your mates in this game. The rest of the game is also good, and there's a heck of a lot of game. It's a very good game. The main plot is fine. It's fine. But really, the reason you would play Like a Dragon or Infinite Wealth is for the hanging out with your mates. Let me bring it up. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Let me show you what this game looks like, because the previous games in the Yakuza or Like a Dragon series, see what I mean? We just have to. We're compelled by a witch's curse to have to say Yakuza or Like a Dragon. The previous games were action games where you would just run around punching people. When the game series transitioned to a new protagonist and it changed its name to... Here we go, let's bring this up. And it changed its name to Like a Dragon, it became a turn-based RPG. So now it is like a Final Fantasy, a Dragon Quest game where you're running around punching people in turn-based combat. Let's see if we can get a fight happening. Let me skip ahead. Where's a fight? Here's a fight. So yeah, it is a turn-based RPG. And it is really, really good. Yeah, it is a very good game. Look at that. It's so funny. Yeah, just using your moves, smacking dudes about. There's a lot of good punching people in the face, which always makes a game good when there's a lot of punching people in the face. GTA, it is very funny that you call it GTA, because back on like the PS3 era, everyone thought that Yakuza was just Japanese GTA. It was never anything like GTA. But now it is even less like GTA because it has turn-based combat. I love that you just pick up random stuff and throw it at people. Yep, you sure do. And look, you can even train to have different classes. So instead of like, you know, the healer, the medic, the warrior, your classes are stuff like Aquanaut or Cowboy. It's very stupid. Samurai. Desperado. Whip that guy around like a lasso. Spin that guy around like a hula girl. It's very, very stupid. And very, very funny. Housekeeper, spray him down. De-dirtify him. It's very good. It's very, very good. You've also got Pokemon in this game. You can capture enemies and have them fight for you, and you can summon them in battle. It's incredibly stupid. It's very, very silly. God, Like a Dragon is so good. Pound mates! You can pound mates! Pound mates is basically like summons. If you want to summon a strong thing to help you out, you can summon this guy who's a baby. You can summon these ladies. Oh, these guys? It's very funny. Like, it's basically a crime story, but the crime story is told within the context of a JRPG. And you're summoning stuff like a crab. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. Very good game. You can also date. You can also go on dates. Dare I skip to the dating minigame? Oh God, I don't dare. Let's move away. So yeah, this is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, yes. The most replayed, it was the most replayed section of the timeline. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, there's a Tinder minigame in this where you've got to chat to people and rizz them up. It's very funny. It's a very funny game. It is honestly, it's above Alan Wake 2. It is a very, very good game. It's a very long game. I think I played it for like 50 hours, if not more. Consistently funny, entertaining, really good game. The story has really good moments, but I do think that the hanging out with your mates is what makes it the best. So yeah, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth goes up here. Let's speed through a few now, because we cannot do this tier list forever. So let's go to book. Why do I do that sometimes? I sometimes cannot say like the letter U or double O. I say Buckshot Roulette. Buckshot Roulette. Buckshot Roulette is undeniably a good game. I think I would put it above Sunless Sea. Buckshot Roulette is it's a very simple game. It's very short. It is just a very simple game where you need to play Russian roulette with an NPC. However, you can have power-ups where you can double the damage a gunshot does, or you can heal up. You can reverse the bullet in the chamber, stuff like that. There's a lot of power-ups, and it makes what is a pretty simple premise very, very fun. And the graphical style of Buckshot Roulette is very strong. It's got a very good visual style. I really like Buckshot Roulette. However, it is very short and very simple. It has infinite replayability if you really want to go for a high score, but just in terms of the game itself, it's got way less content than all of this. So while it is good, I think it lives here. Next up, At Dead of Night, which you all saw me stream. I only just finished this a couple of days ago, and the more I think about At Dead of Night, the more I like it. I really like At Dead of Night. My opinion of the game improves over time. Such a throwback, I know. Goodness me. Remember last year when I played this? Goodness. At Dead of Night. Where do I rank At Dead of Night? I rank it above Northern Journey and Dredge, actually. I might even rank it above Alan Wake. I really took to this. It's very simple in, like, well, it's kind of simple and it's kind of not. There's a lot of nuance, but generally speaking, you're just running around the halls trying not to get hit by someone, and you can figure out if they're going to hit you in various ways, but there is a bit of depth. You can definitely get good at it. I didn't play it on the harder difficulty. I know that Astral Spiff has. I probably never will, but what I played of the normal difficulty was really good. Is it Rose? I really did like it. I think the design is good, the visuals are good, the audio is good. It is a bit repetitive, says Precious Cinnamon Bun. It is, like, undeniably, it is repetitive, and yet I didn't get bored. It's weird. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that, but I guess they did their job well if they could create a repetitive system and make it fun all the way through. So good job At Dead of Night. You're going here. You're currently the number 3 game of the year. Which games still need to be ranked? Here's all the other games I played this year. So quite a lot. Quite a lot of games. By the way, you'll see Banban here. This is all 7 Banbans. If you want to know where I rank the Banban games in comparison to each other, there's a whole video for that. This is just Banban as a collective. Here. There we go. Okay, next up is WitchHand. I don't know if anyone here has ever played Cultist Simulator. WitchHand is the exact same gameplay as Cultist Simulator. You're moving cards around on a board. I mean, I kind of probably need to show gameplay of this one. There it is. So you can see you're moving around cards on a table. You're getting resources. You're moving resources into a spot so that you can use resources. It is basically like a town builder, except you're doing it on a table. And it's kind of like Cult of the Lamb or any other sort of town builder, but it's all done with cards. You can, like, investigate a crypt, and then you get a card of what you found in the crypt, and you can use that card to do something else. And it gets really, really big, really, really fast, as loads of things are stacking up. People are saying it's like Stacklands, so I don't know what Stacklands is, but almost certainly, yes, because I would also say this is like Cultist Simulator, which is another game. So I'm sure that this is an entire subgenre in and of itself, which I just don't know. But yeah, this is the game, WitchHand. WitchHand, for me, I would say it is this is an game. This goes in endgame. Because I played WitchHand for quite a while, and then at a certain point, I think I just kind of realized, like, wait a minute, why am I still playing this? What am I getting out of this? And I just stopped playing it and never thought about it again. The only time I ever thought about this again was when I looked at my Steam list to see what I played this year, and I was like, oh yeah, WitchHand. I played that. So it lives in endgame. It was good enough. It was good enough that I played it for like maybe 10 hours. But then at like 10 hours in, the Witcher's spell, appropriately, was broken. And I was like, wait a minute, why am I playing this game? And I just stopped. So yeah, WitchHand lives in endgame. It's good, but it isn't good. It's fine. So it's endgame. Every time I look at my desktop, I think about playing it and lose interest. Yeah, that's kind of where it lives for me, is I'm kind of like, yeah, that was decent. I'm not gonna play it, but yeah, sure. Sure. So WitchHand lives in endgame. Next up, we have Cryptmaster. Ooh, I'm actually kind of excited to tell you about Cryptmaster. I nearly streamed this one, and I kind of wish I did. Although I feel like the backseating for this might have been unbearable. But this is Cryptmaster. It is a game all about typing and names. It is basically a dungeon crawler with Wordle, where you have to type things to cast spells, like jostle or boot. But there are also things like riddles that you must solve. Like, for example, here's a riddle that I remember from this game. Basically, this guy on screen, he will say to you, I've got an object in a chest, and if you can tell me what the object is, I will give you something, right? And then you type touch, or look, or taste, stuff like that. And then he will tell you the result of that. So if you say touch, he will go, ew, it's all sticky. And then if you go use, he will go, it is very useful, but not anymore. And then if you say look, he will go, it's kind of a ball with a string on one end. And you have, I think, 5 questions to figure out what the object he has is. So with those clues of it is sticky, oh, someone in the chat got it, and so did Denny, it's an eyeball. It's an eyeball. It's round and squishy, and it's got a string on one end, and it is useful, but not anymore. It's an eyeball. Yeah. So you have to type an eyeball, and then you get the reward. And it is very, very fun, in a very different way, of trying to guess what these objects are, solving riddles, and then using words to cast spells in combat. It's very, very fun. It's very, very fun. Cryptmaster is super creative. It's a super creative game. Cryptmaster is undeniably a judge game. And it's here. It's above the Dredge and Northern Journey duology, but below Alan Wake. But it is really good. How much is it? It's quite expensive. It's like £20 or, 25 euros. It's pretty expensive, but it is very, very good. Another really good thing about Cryptmaster is the guy who you just saw, like the skeleton guy. He has a million voice lines, and they're not AI generated. They are all recorded. So if you tell him to eat an eyeball, he will have a line for that. If you tell him to like say you want to tell him to look, and you accidentally type lock because you're an idiot and you type the wrong key, he'll go, lock? There's nothing to lock here. It's just unbelievable. Like, the amount of voice lines, it's incredible. Really, really good. Really, really good game. It's quite expensive, but it's very, very good. I found that it would fry my brain. I couldn't play it for more than half an hour because the amount of intense thinking I would do to try and solve some of the riddles was really high. Also, it's really good for if you have people you're living with or if you have friends on Discord. It's really, really fun to ask them for help. Like, if you're doing a riddle and you've got a bunch of clues, it's really, really fun to just drag someone into the room and go, hey, what is round and squishy and has a string and all that sort of stuff? And then they can help you out. It's really fun. Really, really fun. I would definitely suggest playing it, especially if you can afford it. It's good. It's a good game. Is there a time limit? There is no time limit to the riddles, only a question limit. Yeah, no time limit, only a question limit. So I would sometimes spend like 20 minutes trying to solve something. It's really good. It's really good. Cryptmaster, solid. Up here, for sure. Someone asked, what is the game below our Oni? This is Rental. Rental. Sadly, the name got cropped out of this one. The name Rental is up here. But when I made them all square, it got cropped. But it's here. Next up, Finding Frankie. This is one that you will actually know, I'm sure. Finding Frankie it's not an game. I had more fun with it than an game. It is a good game. However, like, I've not thought about it since. And I've thought about all of these since. So it is currently the bottom of good game for me. It's good, but it didn't leave a lasting appeal. But it's good. It is a one-time kind of game. And that one time is good. It's a good game. I don't think the Finding Frankie devs would feel too upset being ranked below Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Because obviously, like, that is an enormous game. Jak is right. The next game may be Game of the Year. It's Unplagued. I cut the Banban brothers a lot of slack. I made an entire video where the message is kind of like, the Banban games aren't very good. But I also don't think that's a problem. I think they're allowed to be bad, and I kind of enjoy that. Unplagued, however, is just bad. I don't enjoy it. It's going at the bottom of the Little Stinky. Unplagued, I struggled to even play. I really went into it with the best of intentions and looking forward to having a bit of fun. It was basically unplayable when I played it. The microphones made everyone impossible to listen to. You had to listen to everyone through Discord instead. It was a rough experience, and I would say it is anti-fun. Like, I would have a negative time playing it. Whereas, for example, something like Rental, I just thought there wasn't really anything to Rental. But Unplagued, I had an actively bad time playing it. So Unplagued is definitely, it's like here. Like, if this is our only in Rental, then, our only in Rental, then Unplagued is over here. It's like way below by a wide margin. It is not even close. I do not play bad games, generally speaking. Unplagued is one. So it is way further down. I second this, adding on that it's unclear, fairly empty, and dull. It is dull. Even when you figure out what you're doing, it's dull. I do like the idea of, like, potion-making Wordle, where you need to figure out a recipe by trying different combinations. That sounds really clever. It's just a shame that the execution is absolutely abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. There's a reason why I added in a shot of my Banban video where I this at the bottom, because I just had to let it be known that I was not giving the brothers a pass, because they are capable of making truly bad games, and this is one of those. It's awful. And it's a shame that the game that they made that is awful is the one that they should support for a long period of time, because it's a multiplayer game. And why would they when it's so bad? Yeah. So yeah, I could explain the gameplay of Unplagued, but I don't think it's worth your time or mine, to be honest. You find ingredients, you try them, you've got to make a potion, but there's a million issues along the way, including not even getting good feedback on what is right or wrong about your potion. It's not great. It's not great. So yeah. Unplagued. Definitely in Stinky. For now. It was made by the brothers. Yeah, this is a Banban Brothers production. A Euphoric Brothers joint. Indeed. Next up, The Baby in Yellow. The Baby in Yellow is a comedy horror game. I would say it is a game where you need to babysit a demonic baby, and a lot of the humor of this game is the fact that the baby has ragdoll physics, and you can throw him around, and you can put him in the oven, and you can put him in the fridge. And then the horror of the game is mostly jump scares, mostly just like a baby jumps out with a big scary face. I laughed a lot playing this. So here's the thing about Baby in Yellow, okay? We've got a lot of things in Judjame, and I feel very confident calling all of these Judjame. I honestly think I would replay, or at least play bits of, every single one of these again. Maybe not Finding Frankie, which is why it's at the bottom. But I would be okay with playing all of these again. I don't think I have any atom of my mind that wants to go and play Baby in Yellow again. It was fun, but I do not care for returning to it at all. So I guess it goes in Endgame at the top. I definitely laughed and had a lot more goofs and fun than I did with WitchHand. I was able to spawn 100,000 physics objects and nearly break the game. I managed to make the floor have no collision, and a plot important item fell through the floor because I spawned so many physics objects. So Baby in Yellow does go down here. I streamed this, by the way. If you didn't know, there is a VOD on the VOD channel. I streamed this game. And it was a fun stream, but I don't think it's a game I would easily recommend. Because it's like fun, but it's not amazing. It's fun enough. That's why it's in Endgame. It's fun enough. But yeah, not much more. It's very 2016. Yeah, no, I would say that's fair. It's very 2016. As far as I'm aware, the Baby in Yellow has had chapters releasing over time, like it's an episodic game. So maybe the first part came out around that time. But yeah, I would say in current year, which is currently 2025, and even in 2024, it was fun, but not lasting. Yeah. Okay, that's the Baby in Yellow. Next up, Summer House. No one is going to know what Summer House is. I guess I should look it up. Summer House trailer. There it is. This is Summer House. Summer House is a cute game where you build a house. That is the entire game. There is nothing else. You use blocks and you make a pretty house. And then when you've decided that you've made a pretty house, you're done. That's it. There aren't really any goals. There's really no progression. Not really. It's just if you want to kill 30 minutes and make a house, you can make a house. It's 2D. You cannot look at the house from any other angles. You just make a house. The art style is very, very cute. You can make some very pretty houses. However, I did find that I played it for like half an hour and I felt like I was bored. I made like a pretty house, and then I was like, you know what? I'll make another pretty house. So then I made a second pretty house. And then I was like, I don't think I want to make a third pretty house. I think I'm done. I think I've made all the pretty houses I want to make now. And that was it. That was the end. So yeah, Summer House is okay. But I don't think I would put it in Judjame. I believe it is an game. It is the most an game of games for me. It is below WitchHand because I played WitchHand for far more time. Summer House, like I say, I played for about half an hour to 40 minutes and then was like, yep, I'm done. I'm done with that, I reckon. So it lives in an game. But it's cute. It's cute. Like, it's cute. You can't say it sucks, but it's also, I wouldn't say it's good. It's fine. This would be a really amazing mode inside a game with a bit more to do. But in just this, I don't know. It was a bit, there was not much. Not much to latch onto in this one, sadly. The game is really for people who like architecture. Well, I would disagree, because I would say something like The Sims is better if you want to build a house. this is more like a 2D artist, right? Like if you're a 2D artist and you want to draw a pretty house, then this is closer to that. It is more like a mini game, yeah. And I do believe Summer House was cheap, so it's probably priced appropriately. But it is like, it's just an game. It's just an game. It's a Dead by Daylight game, that is what I'm saying. I'm saying it's like Dead by Daylight. Yep, that's right. That is Summer House. Next up we have Baisu. Baisu, I know we have some Baisu fans in the chat, inexplicably. Baisu is a game that we played instead of At Dead of Night when that broke and we needed to play another game. Baisu is little stinky. It is definitely a little stinky. Baisu is a game where you play as a police officer going to a house and there is something strange and scary happening in the house. You have a police dog. It seems like the police dog is going to be the major mechanic. It teaches you all about how to give the police dog instructions, how to search, how to find clues. However, the game is actually about finding the police dog because the police dog goes missing very soon. And the entire rest of the game is finding the police dog. So it is basically just a walking simulator almost immediately. It has a couple of good things. Which is that the ending of the game, which I won't spoil, the ending of the game is kind of clever. I like it. I like how the visuals look sometimes. There's like a very grainy look to the game, where when there are scary ghosts, they can sometimes genuinely look scary, because they're obscured by so much shadow that it is kind of hard to make out what you're looking at, which is really good for scariness. However, the dog is barely in it, and it feels like the dog should have been the major mechanic. It's pretty short. It uses, now here's the thing, it has a lot of AI in it. Now that might lose a lot of people in the chat who are trying to be pro Baisu. There was AI voices in the game, and I decided to play the game on stream because they had a patch saying that they'd patched out the AI voices. However, there were still AI voices in the game. 100%, there were still AI voices in the game. So yeah, I don't know. It definitely made... The game was already kind of not amazing, and then the fact that it had AI voices made it a little bit stinky. So it's definitely living a little stinky. 100%. Now, I also understand why they used AI voices, because it is a Lithuanian game, I believe, and they are not native English speakers, so rather than being able to find English voice actors, they just typed it into a computer and made the AI do it. But the fact that they later patched AI voices out shows that they know it was a bad decision, but then they didn't even patch them all out. There's still some in there. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I can't give it a super high rating. Bleh. So, yeah, Baisu lives down here. I would... Honestly, the gameplay was better than Rental. It was better than Rental. But for the AI, let's do that, shall we? Let's do that. Because Rental is style over substance. But at the very least, the style is handcrafted by an artist who has an art style. Baisu has AI, which is antithetical to that. So let's put, for the sake of society, let's put Baisu behind Rental. There we go. Unplagued is still worse. Sorry. Unplagued is really bad. Oh dear. All right. I mean, the thing is, if I put Baisu below Unplagued, then I would have to put Baisu in Stink of the Year, and I don't know about that. Unplagued, oh boy. Anyway, next up, Dice and Fold. Dice and Fold is kind of like, I guess everything now is doomed to be compared to Balatro if it has cards. But I would say it's closer to Slay the Spire. if Slay the Spire used dice. You roll dice, and you use the dice to kill enemies. Some enemies need specific dice, or die, and some just need an amount of numbers to kill it. It's pretty fun. There's a ton of characters you can play as who all have special abilities. There's shops. It is a roguelike, or a roguelite. It's pretty fun. I have spent a lot of time playing Dice and Fold. I have probably spent more time than I would care to admit playing Dice and Fold. It is a very simple game, and a lot of the Steam reviews are saying stuff like, the best strategy is just to kill time. It's very badly designed. Maybe those are true. Maybe that's true, but I don't care. If I want a game to play and I want to not have my brain engaged, I play Dice and Fold. It's pretty fun. I like doing it. I also like that it's got 155 achievements, so that basically anything you do in the game, you will pop an achievement, which is really, really satisfying. That you complete a run and you will always get like 2 achievements. It's really good. So yeah, Dice and Fold is a game that I feel like not many people know, and I have played it a ton. So Dice and Fold, I am putting in Judjame. That is actually going to be the one that goes below Finding Frankie. Because I do think that the game design is a little bit wonky, and the best move a lot of the time is to deliberately waste time. It is basically to leave one enemy who does the least damage alive, and then using that battle encounter with the one enemy still alive to use that they don't do much damage and just grind out money. Because you can do a money thing while you're fighting. So the strategy is always just like get one weak enemy to be the last alive and grind money, and then do the next fight and do the same. So it isn't super well designed, but I definitely have fun with it, and I play it a lot. So Finding Frankie is probably above it. But I play it all the time, so I'm definitely putting it in Judjame. 100%. I have a lot of fun. Yeah, so Flying Gabriella, the reason why nothing is in Game of the Year or Stink of the Year is because I'm waiting until the end, and then I will pick the game I move up or down. So yeah, for now, we're utilizing the middle 3 categories. For now. Next up, we have Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions. This is it's barely a game. This is like a productivity tool. However, it is my 3rd most played game of 2024, according to Steam Replay. Let me show you. Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions. Now, this trailer, I assume, will make it look like it has more gameplay than it does. You can put on like city street noises. You can put on the noise of a crackling fire, the noise of snow. You can just like basically set a perfect scene that is like has noise, and it locks your second monitor down so that you're not going to get distracted by a YouTube video, and you can just like let it run while you do work. So I can like have a notebook out, I can be taking notes, I can be writing a script. I sometimes have it when I'm editing, just on the second screen, just so that I don't get distracted by a YouTube video and don't do work. You can have to-do lists, which I do all the time when I'm editing. It is a really good productivity tool. I use it all the time. However, is it even an game? Because I do not know if this even counts as an game. It is a screensaver, right? You can catch Pokemon. You saw those cute little critters that you can have by your side. You can catch Pokemon by chilling out in specific ways. And that element is kind of like gameplay. I'm not creating a new category. It's going at the top of an game in spirit, okay? It is exactly what it needs to be, which is completely neutral. The point of this is that it needs to be inoffensive, it needs to not be too good to be distracting, and too bad to be annoying. It needs to be truly neutral. And that is exactly what this is. So it lives at the top of an game. And that is the highest praise I can give it. That it is perfectly there. And nothing else. So thank you very much, City Spirit Lo-Fi Sessions, for helping my productivity. Ah, dear. Next up, we have STRAFTAT. Now, STRAFTAT is a game by the people who made Babdi. So if you remember Babdi, the video I made on Babdi, STRAFTAT is a one-on-one multiplayer game made by those brothers. If you think the Banban brothers are the bad brothers, well then the Lamatriere, the brothers who make Babdi, they're the good version of the Banban brothers. STRAFTAT is absolute insanity. It is a very, very fun one-on-one multiplayer game with the exact same jank and the exact same just like insane fun that Babdi has. You are going at 100 miles an hour, flying around the map, blowing people up. It is incredibly unbalanced in a perfectly fun way. Is it a Freddy game? Literally everything in this game breaks the game, just like Babdi, to the point where it's hard to call anything a Freddy because I think the game is meant to be broken. Like, you're meant to be able to knock someone 500 foot up in the air. It is, like, look, you can even see going out of bounds. Like, there isn't even a bounds to go out of. In most of these maps, you can just fall off the map. It is very, very fun. Whenever I find someone to play this with, it is awesome. You can see their name at the bottom there. I can't pronounce it. But it's either French or French-Canadian. Oh, what is going to happen here? A grenade? What are you going to do with that grenade, buddy? Get rocked. Get rocked. STRAFTAT is definitely a good game. It is very, very good. The Superior Brothers, you made a banger. I would rank it above Dice and Fold. I would rank it above Finding Frankie. I would rank it above Sunless Sea. I would rank it above Buckshot and Northern Journey. But I think that's where it stops. I think it stops here. I think we get to Dredge, and then I think it's not better than Dredge. But it is really good. Also, just like Babdi, this is free. This costs no money. You can buy it right flippin' now on Steam. 0 money. It's free. They have a DLC that costs like £2, and that gets you like double the maps and double the costumes. But you can play STRAFTAT for free. Also, if a friend of yours has STRAFTAT and they have all the maps, if they start a lobby, you can play on all the maps. You just, if the host has all the maps, everyone has all the maps. So it is very, very good. Very, very generous. I would definitely recommend it. Another thing, talking about AI, we're talking about Baisu having AI in it. Babdi actually did have AI visuals of like newscasters were all distorted and messed up with AI. However, Babdi was made before AI was a thing, and so I think they were doing it as like a stylistic thing. However, obviously AI became a bad thing shortly afterwards. And so the Babdi devs for this game have 0 AI stuff. Like, they know. Like, there's nothing AI in this at all. Like, they obviously knew that, like, that's no good. So they dropped it immediately. They used that in that game, and it came out, you know, multiple years ago before AI was really a blight on this world. And as soon as it became a blight, they dropped it. They haven't used it since. So they've learned their lesson. So obviously, very good stuff. Good stuff, STRAFTAT. We love to see the growth, the character growth. Yep. And this is still free as well. It's also free. So you can't go wrong with that. I would say people are saying above Dredge. I don't think so. I mean, I think that this is somebody's game of the year, for sure. Like, someone would definitely put this in game of the year because it is so much fun and so silly. But I can't put it above this. These are like the big dogs. As soon as you get to Dredge and Cryptmaster, we start getting into like insanely good games. So I can't put STRAFTAT any higher, but it is very, very, very good. Very, very, very good. Okay, next up we have Astro Bot. The game of the year, according to Jeff Keighley. Where do I rank Astro Bot? I played all of this on PS5. Astro Bot, da 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 da. Astro Bot, it lives. Maybe there. Maybe there. Maybe there. I do really like Astro Bot. It's very, very good. I was constantly in wonder and awe at how cute the game was, how creative the game was, how fun the game was. However, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is like custom made to be exactly my sort of stupid stuff. And Balatro is God. So it probably goes below those. But yeah, these two could change, but I think for me, Like a Dragon is exactly my sort of nonsense. So it goes down here. But I really, really, really liked it. It was really good. I don't think there's anything I dislike about it. The game having a literal PlayStation 5 in it and having moments where it's like, man, isn't the PS5 so cool? For me, I didn't really care. And I still do not. So for me, it's definitely right at the top. Yeah. Goatee means Game of the Year. Soti means Stink of the Year. Mad scripter. So you know. But yeah, Astro Bot's really, really solid. It is as good as a Nintendo game, right? It's as good as a Mario Galaxy, as good as a Mario Odyssey. It is a very, very, very good game. And it lives in my top 3 for now. Yeah, Sony learning that they do have IPs. And I mean, a depressing thing about Astro Bot is that Astro Bot shows a lot of IPs that Sony should probably be utilizing. And they're not. And I understand that it is not easy. You cannot just snap your fingers and a game manifests into reality. You have to actually allocate people to make that game. And when you allocate people to make that game, they can't make another game. And so you actually do need to make decisions about where you put people. And so maybe they don't want to put people on making Jak and Daxter. Maybe they want to put people on, you know, HBO drama number 28, but a game. And good for them, but also bad for them, because Jak and Daxter would be better to do. But Astro Bot kind of shows a lot of those games that I wish were made, which is kind of depressing. But still, Astro Bot is good, so let's just live and let live, okay? This is a really solid lineup. Alan Wake came out last year, it's worth saying again. I just played it across the new year, but they're all really good games. Yeah. Astro Bot is teasing us with other IPs? Yeah, Astro Bot was a bit of a tease. A little bit of a tease. You mean Live and Learn? I'll have you know I played no Sonic games this year, and Sonic isn't even in Astro Bot. Why isn't he in Astro Bot? He would be fun if there was a Sonic bot, but oh well. Next up, we have the Glitched Attraction. Now, the Glitched Attraction, I also played across the year. I think my first 2 streams were in 2023, and my second 2 streams were in 2024, but I figured I would put it on this list, as I did finish it in 2024. It is the only FNAF game, not quite. Into the Pit is here. So there's Into the Pit as well. We have 2 FNAF games on this list. But the Glitched Attraction, it is good. It is not an game. But I don't rank it too highly in Jud. It's kind of like Ao Oni, where I kind of had a miserable experience for a decent chunk of the Glitched Attraction, but more because of skill issue rather than the game being bad. It is basically a series of escape rooms in 3D, where you need to escape rooms based around each FNAF game. The first room is confusingly FNAF 4, and then you have FNAF 2, FNAF 3, Sister Location, Pizzeria Simulator, I think. It's good. It's a good game, and it's going in Jud Jame, but I think I'll actually put it at the bottom of Jud Jame. Wait, chronological order? Is that the chronological order of those games? Is that why? Were the developers of the Glitched Attraction actually going Galaxy Brain mode, and they put them in chronological order? That does make sense. Yeah, okay, well, pretty good. You know what? For that, it goes above Dyson Fault. It goes one space up the list for that cute thing that I never noticed. Good job, the glitched attraction. You've beaten Dyson Fault. It's a pretty good game. I would say it is one of the better FNAF fan games. Although I do prefer the gameplay of Juniors, because I like the detective element of Juniors a little bit more. But I do like the glitched attraction. It's pretty good. Deep Fried Popsicles, it is your first time in stream. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right, next up we have Amanda the Adventurer 2. You know, we were talking about Ao Oni and the glitched attraction and how I can sometimes have a miserable time playing a game. I'm going to put Amanda the Adventurer 2 at the top of An Game. I kind of feel like Amanda the Adventurer came out and everyone was like, this is a cool take on mascot horror. Then Amanda the Adventurer 2 came out and nobody cared. I heard like no one talk about it. So I feel like it kind of like dropped, not that it dropped off in gameplay and stuff. I feel like Amanda the Adventurer 2 was too similar to Amanda the Adventurer 1. And so it didn't really excite much of a response. And it just kind of faded away. My experience with Amanda the Adventurer 2 was the same. Like, the stuff I liked was the stuff I already liked in the first game. And the stuff I didn't like was very annoying. Like, they've been dropping patches to try and fix some of the puzzles to be less frustrating, and I don't think they did a good enough job, because I was literally one of the first people to play it after they did a big patch on the puzzles, and I still was super frustrated by it. It feels like a DLC. It feels too similar to the first, to the point where it feels like a DLC. I would agree with that. The game is definitely fine, which is why it's in An Game and not in Little Stinky. I think the fact that it is An Game is evidenced by the fact that it elicited almost no fanfare. So yeah, that is where it's going to live. I think Amanda the Adventurer 2. I definitely think that they could make a really good Amanda the Adventurer 3. I don't think there's any reason why this series has to be, you know, treading water. I think they can do a lot with it, but I just didn't really get excited as much as I did by the first game. It was like, okay. Generally. So it's An Game. It's An Game. I would say it is definitely, I like Spirit City better. I like the Baby in Yellow better, but it's above these two. It's here. It's here. I thought the tapes were kind of boring compared to the first. I don't know if I agree that they're more boring, but you do spend way more time on each tape, which I think makes them feel boring just by the pure fact that you're spending longer in them. So, yeah, I don't know. It's living in the middle of An Game at the moment, for me. Next up, we have Chants of Sennaar. Now, raise your hand in chat if you know what Chants of Sennaar is. I'm going to see no hands. Wait, Pink Kittens knows? Do you actually know Pink Kittens? And Wulong T4 Me? Nice. Almost everyone is lowering their hand, which makes me feel like they do not know what this game is. Chants of Sennaar is a good game, as all the people who know what Chants of Sennaar will confirm. Chants of Sennaar. Let's bring up a trailer. There we go. Nintendo of America, thank you very much for your good work. So Chants of Sennaar is a puzzle game that is about learning a language. So if you've ever tried to learn a language, or if you've ever tried to crack a code, say you and your friends have written down a code, and you try and decipher it and pass it around in notes in class, or something like that. That is what this game is. It is all about cracking a language, figuring out stuff. Every time you learn a new word, you can take down notes in-game, and next time you see that word, it will tell you what you wrote in your notes. Like, it will say, oh, you think that this means good. And sometimes someone will walk up to you and start trying to talk to you. And if you have deciphered enough of the language, maybe you know what they're trying to tell you. Or maybe you don't. It's very, very fun. Very, very good. It's a very unique kind of puzzle. It's got an okay story. But for the most part, the gameplay is deciphering a language, and I loved it. It's also not only the language, there's kind of like grammar, like the different like cultures use different grammar, and so you kind of have to intuit their grammar as well as what the symbols mean, and also you can kind of intuit what their culture is like based on what words they have words for. Like one language, for example, might not have a word for science, because why would they? But another language might have a word for science, and a word for chemistry, and a word for math, and a word for literature, and a word for... And you know that this culture obviously has very different kind of things that they value compared to the first culture. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. It's a very good game. I would recommend Chants of Sennaar, especially if you're someone who is interested in language or you've ever tried to learn a language. It is a good game, and I think it's about the same sort of tier as Cryptmaster. I am more impressed by Cryptmaster on a technical level, but Chants of Sennaar is better, I think. So it's going up here. The grammar points make it really interesting, and I like the design of the languages. No, I agree. I find that, like, it's just fascinating. Really, really cool game. It's got a terrible name. Like, if you asked me yesterday what this game was called, I wouldn't be able to remember, even though I really like this game. It's a very easy to forget name. So that's a shame, but it's a very good one. I would recommend checking it out. It's on sale until tomorrow because of the winter sale on Steam. Do you speak it? Do I speak the languages in this game? No, because I don't think you ever hear them said out loud. It's almost all in text. So I wouldn't even know how to pronounce the languages. But yeah. Okay, Chants of Sennaar, pretty good. Next up, we have Exiled. Exiled is another game where you have to decipher a language. This one, however, has more of a horror aesthetic. I'm not even going to show you footage for this one because it's all at a desk. It's just at a desk reading books. It is more like an eldritch horror language that you're trying to decipher, and I solved this game within 5 minutes. I got a page of writing, I got out my notebook, and I was like, okay, so let's do some cryptography here. So the letter E is the most common letter in the English language, so let's look for the most common letters here. Okay, this is the most common one, so this is probably E, and if that is E, then this is like something E and then two of the same letter afterwards, which is probably double L, because a lot of words end in E double L, like tell and sell. So that one is probably L, and if I know that that one is L, then I just basically deciphered the entire language in a notebook within 5 minutes, and that was very, very fun. The game was not really prepared for that, though. The game expects you to figure it out slower and more organically. So the game is only like half an hour long, and it didn't really work when you know the language immediately. So, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely nowhere near as good as Chants of Sennaar. You know what? It's going in endgame. It's endgame. It's below Amanda 2, and it's below WitchHand, but it's above Summerhouse. It's here. It's here. It does have gameplay. I just kind of figured out the language using old school methods, and the game didn't really reward me much for that. The game has a thing where when you're like 10 minutes into the game, it will remove an item from you that you need to get the true ending. And because I had a notepad out and I was taking my time just enjoying doing the cryptography, the game punished me for that by removing the item I needed to win. And so that was kind of annoying. Like, I wish it wouldn't have done that. Next up, we have the Glitch Prison. The Glitch Prison is undeniably a little bit stinky. I did a stream of this. The goal of this game is basically that it is a very badly made game intentionally, in quotes. It is a very badly made game where you are locked in a prison with no way out. However, the game is incredibly glitchy, and so you can clip through walls and you can do all sorts of stuff to escape. The concept is very clever. The concept is you need to break my game to beat my game. I love that as a concept. However, it is it is legitimately poorly made, and not just in the glitchiness. It's a pretty poorly made game. I could not rank it as an game. It is definitely stinky, but I do enjoy the concept, and it was kind of fun to play. But it goes here. It goes below rental and hour only, because I feel like these are games that I wasn't super hot on, but they do have good qualities. I like the concept, but I feel like the actual game doesn't really have much. And then I feel like everything below here actively has negative attributes. So Glitch Prison lives here, in Little Stinky. Favorite mouthwashing character? I'm dying to know. Well, I'm going to have to keep you on the hook. You're going to have to stick around until after the advert break to find out my favorite mouthwashing character. I've got you hooked. All right, next up we have Flathead. Flathead is a game I streamed. Flathead is, if I had to describe it, it is kind of like Buckshot Roulette in that you're trapped in a game that is fairly simple, and the punishment for failing the game is death, and you're going up against a pretty iconic and weird-looking head. It is, however, much worse than Buckshot Roulette, because Buckshot Roulette is a game of Russian roulette with power-ups and a bunch of stuff where you basically take the concept of Russian roulette and you give it power-ups to make it more complicated and interesting. Flathead is just higher or lower. It's pretty simple, and I don't think that works in its favor because there's like no strategy. The strategy is whether or not you cash out, because the more you push on, the more rewards you get. If you constantly get one correct guess and cash out and one correct guess and cash out, you're going to get nothing in this game. You do need to push your luck, but at the end of the day, it is 100% luck. Whereas I feel like Buckshot Roulette has a lot more strategy. So Flathead is definitely not going in Judge Jame. It was way too simple. Way too simple. Would he be stinky? I don't know if it's stinky. I enjoyed it less than Summer House, maybe. I felt like I was waiting for the game to introduce the mechanic that would make it a game, and it never happened. It was just higher or lower. So I don't rate it very high. But it's probably, I don't know if I would say it's stinky. It seemed to have interesting lore. There was like lore you could unlock. That seemed pretty interesting. I didn't get to read much of it because I was streaming. Nice. Okay, next up we have Fights in Tight Spaces. Now, Fights in Tight Spaces, I will show you some footage of. Fights in Tight Spaces. Now, anyone who knows me and knows my preference in video games, you will see this and you will immediately go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because this is exactly the sort of game that I play. It is a turn-based strategy game, like something like XCOM, kind of like Hitman Go, if you ever played that. It is a kind of mixed martial artsy kung fu game where you're on like a grid, moving around, punching and kicking guys. There are enemies with like specific movesets, like they will jump forward 2 moves and then do a roundhouse kick. So you can dodge them or you can knock them into each other, stuff like that. You can knock people off of trains and stuff. It's pretty satisfying. I will say, however, a drawback of this game is that it is a roguelike, but I don't know if the repeat playthroughs are worth it after a certain point. I feel like I played it for maybe 10 hours, maybe a bit more, maybe 10 or 12 hours, and then I was like, you know what, I'm done. But it's good. It's definitely good, but I basically, the game would like give me a new deck of moves that I can use. Like, now you can do combat with a gun. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I've got a gun deck I can use guns now. And then I would like start it and I'd be like, you know what? I'm fine. I'm actually fine without playing it again. So it's good, but it didn't keep me hooked for longer than like, say, 10 hours or so. So it is going in Jud Jame. I think it's my new bottom of Jud Jame. It's my new bottom of Jud Jame. But it is a Jud Jame. I had a lot of fun with it. It is fun. If you think that the price of this is worth 10 hours of your time, then do it. Then do it. It does look a lot like Hitman Go. It is very Hitman Go, and I do like Hitman Go. How much is it? IDK. Let me have a look. Fights in tight spaces. Steam. How much are you? £9.74. It's 50% off though. And you've only got 21 hours. So if you're watching the VOD, it will no longer be on sale. Next up, Escape Simulator. I actually played not much of Escape Simulator. I only dipped into it. So my opinion is going to be very, very short. It is an escape room simulator where there are community-made escape rooms and developer-made escape rooms. And it is fun. It's Jud. It's Jud. I don't know how Jud, because I haven't played it much. But I would wager that it's around here. But yeah, there's community-made levels you can download. I actually really wanted to stream this. And I was looking for a FNAF level to see if someone had made a FNAF escape room in this. And sadly, no. No one has. I was going to stream it if there was a FNAF escape room. But alas, wasn't meant to be. Was there a Portal escape room? There is, I actually think, Godzilla. I think there is officially licensed Portal escape rooms. You can get Portal DLC for Escape Simulator. And there are officially branded Portal escape rooms. No FNAF, sadly. Next up, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you remember, I was saying that there is a subgenre called AAA games where you hang out with your mates. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is another of those. I would put it here. Or here. Both Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, and Final Fantasy VII are very similar in that their main plots are like not the best bit. The best bit of both of these are the side stories and the hanging out with your mates. And I think that's a shame for Final Fantasy VII because people bang on about how good the plot is in Final Fantasy VII a lot. In this game, the plot is kind of there, but the appeal is the character stuff, the fun hanging out stuff. It's good. It's very, very good. It's got the best soundtrack. This is where the Bow Wow Wow song comes from that everyone in the chat loves so much that I sometimes play. It's a very, very good game. It is a very, very long game. It's a lot of fun. However, it also has flaws. The developers of this remake, they love to cook. And I don't mean that they love to cook delicious meals. I mean that they love to cook intrigue and new plot developments that are not normally in Final Fantasy VII. And are they good chefs? Sometimes. Are they bad chefs? Sometimes. Sometimes. And so I feel like if you're really devoted to Final Fantasy VII, this game will probably offend you on a personal level. Because every time they cook, and they cook badly, you'll be big mad. However, I do not know the plot of Final Fantasy VII. I never played the original, and I have a lot of fun playing this. They're not even mid-chefs. They either cook a delicious gourmet meal, or they fart on a plate. So it's like really hard to rank it, because it's got very good stuff and very like mediocre to bad stuff. So yeah, it's hard to rank it, but the hanging out with your mates bit is fantastic. And I do love hanging out with your mates. So I like how I said hanging out with your mates. Makes it sound like I'm hanging out with your mates. You know, did you not know? Me and your mates hang out all the time and we don't tell you about it. I'm always hanging out with your mates. I stole your mates. They're my mates now. Nope, they're my mates now, Tremak. Sorry. That's not on. Joke's on you, I have non-mates. You have non-mates now. After I've been through town. Now you've got no mates. Stop hanging out with my mates and playing AAA games. Me and your mates are playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and we didn't even tell you about it. My mates, all my mates are gone. Oh, they stole my mates. All right, that's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There are people who could literally write or speak about this game for an hour on its own, if not more. I'm not one of those people. I enjoy the remakes of Final Fantasy VII as someone who doesn't know the original. However, I can very strongly identify that people will not like this, or people will love it. Also, I may as well say this now, because I'm never going to get another time to say this. Something about playing these remakes, which is really funny, having no knowledge of the original, is that what will happen super often is something really, really stupid and cringe will happen in this game. And I will go, oh my god, the original Final Fantasy VII fans are gonna hate that change. And then I look it up, and it's exactly the same in the original. And it's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry, but your original game might stink. Oh god, pretty funny. I can never guess what the changes are, because often the really stupid stuff is actually in the original. All right, so that is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Next up is content warning. Content warning is, you know what? Let's do this. Let's move Lethal Company and content warning next to each other, okay? Lethal Company first. It's iconic. I did first play this in 2023, but I played the vast majority of it in 2024. So it's going on this list. Lethal Company is a Jud game. It is a game that is as Jud as your friends, as time with your friends is. Of course, you will have no friends because I've stolen them all. So for me, I have the most fun in Lethal Company in the world because I have all of your mates. But yeah, it's basically as fun as hanging out with your friends is. And for a lot of people, that is going to be a negative because the game doesn't have much structure in terms of like overall meta progression. You play a run of Lethal Company and then you just play another and you start from scratch. There isn't even like a roguelike element. It's random, but there's not really any sort of long-term progression. If you're just playing it like casually, especially if you're playing it alone or if you're playing it with randoms, you might just not see the appeal at all. But if it's the sort of thing where just you and your friends make it a regular thing to play it, you can have a lot of fun in Lethal Company. Someone says it's a true roguelike. Oh my god, precious cinnamon bun. There is a guy in my Twitter mentions who will knife fight you. There was a time when I called something a roguelike on Twitter. It wasn't even my own tweet. I was replying to somebody calling a game a roguelike because they said like, my game's a roguelike, and I said it's a good roguelike. And this user replied to my tweet saying, I just don't understand how it's supposed to be like anything like Rogue. I don't even understand. It's meant to be, how is it even anything like Rogue? And then I looked at the rest of the comments, and every single person who was saying that the game was a roguelike had the exact same guy replying, saying, I just don't understand how this is anything like Rogue, though. It's not even anything like Rogue. And I looked at their profile, and all of their tweets are them being annoyed at people calling things roguelike. It was very, very funny and very sad, but very funny. And yes, Eurothug, STRAFTAT is high on my Jud James. A very solid and Jud James. So that's the thing, right? So the actual answer is that roguelike doesn't mean that it's like Rogue anymore. If you don't know, chat, there was a game called Rogue. And it was a very specific kind of game. And certain elements of what we call roguelike today were in the game Rogue. But there are loads of parts of Rogue that are not in modern roguelikes. Like lots of stuff that got discarded along the way. He clearly was very annoyed whenever someone called anything a roguelike and it wasn't a carbon copy of Rogue. It means something different. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry to that one guy, but it means something different now. We've moved on as a society. Roguelike doesn't mean it's exactly like Rogue anymore. I'm sorry. You gotta move on. God bless him, and we forgive him. And yeah, I would say Lethal Company isn't quite a roguelike, because I feel like roguelikes, you want to have some sort of meta progression, and it's not just doing the same thing over and over again. But I don't know, maybe it's a roguelike. Like I say, who knows, man? It's ever evolving. I don't want to be like the guy. I don't want to turn into the guy, and suddenly I'm the one who's getting annoyed at things being called roguelike. It is roguish, just like me. And my handsome face. Okay, mate thief. Sounds so annoyed at me. Ah, dear. When are they going to make a Five Nights at Freddy's roguelike, huh? When's that going to happen? That feels like we're at least 5 years overdue for that. Next up, we've ranked Lethal Company here. Like I say, it's about as good as your friendship group makes it. And I have a lot of that because I have so many of your mates. So it goes here. Content warning is sadly not as good. I approve of all the decisions they made to distinguish it from Lethal Company. I think making it content creators getting views is really fun. I just think it isn't... Something isn't there. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Something isn't... The sauce that makes Lethal Company so good isn't quite as saucy in content warning. You know what? I'm going to put it in AND game. I'm sorry. I'm putting it in AND game. I know I actually got this when it was free as well. I got this when it was free. So I didn't even pay for this. And I would still put it in AND game rather than Jud game. I did have some fun with it, but I felt like as I was moving forward playing it, the game was making my hanging out with my friends less fun rather than more fun. If you know what I mean. Whereas Lethal Company, it like amplifies the fun. I felt like over time, doing a round of content warning was bringing the mood down rather than bringing it up. Yeah, I mean your friends. When I was hanging out with your friends. Content warning is good, but not quite Jud. It's good enough. Weirdly, this was the number 4 game on Steam, on my Steam replay, and the reason is because for some reason, I don't know why, for some reason when this came out, I decided I would make it my mission to figure out exactly how the view counts worked and exactly how to get the biggest score. And so I was filming everything in the game and doing tests. Like, okay, if I film it like this, what happens? If I film it in selfie mode, what happens? If I film just this and then go back up, what happens? And I figured out basically, I have like an Excel spreadsheet of different things and how many views they score. And I was going to make a video, or I was going to do some sort of challenge run using all this information, and I just kind of got bored and never did anything with it, sadly. But if you want a top tip for content warning, film the lasers. Because for some reason, if you walk really close up to the lasers and film them, tons of views. I don't know why. The lasers get you tons of views. The bones do not. The bones get you barely any views. But the lasers get you like 50 times the views that the bones do. It's wild. All right, there we go. So I would put it about here. Content warning. I'll put it above Baby in Yellow. There we go. It's AND game. We've got the full spectrum of a Jud Jame, Lethal Company, AND game, content warning, and then Little Stinky of Unplagued. Is it better than the Baby? It is better than the Baby in Yellow. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I also think that this is like Lethal Company. It is as good as your friendship group makes it. Sadly, I have stolen all your friends, but if I hadn't done, you would still be able to have a great time in this. So if you're coming to me and you're saying, You're wrong, Backseat. Content warning is amazing. Well, all that means is that you have incredible friends. So good. Good. I hope you take that on board and let it live in your heart, that you've got great friends. But yeah, I kind of got bored of it. Sorry. All right, next up. Jak and Daxter, the PlayStation 1, not PlayStation 1, my goodness, the PlayStation 2 game I played for the first time this year. Jak and Daxter is available on the PS5 if you want it. They've added like a rewind feature so that you can do save states and stuff. Jak and Daxter is good. It is very good. I would say, like, obviously the year it came out, it could be Game of the Year. But in the year 2024, does this game hold up? Yeah. It's good. But how good? I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put Jak and Daxter here. So if you don't know, Jak and Daxter is a mascot platformer from, if I had to guess, I actually don't know, like 2003, 2002. And it is weirdly forward-thinking. It is weirdly structured like Dark Souls. Like, would you believe it? Jak and Daxter has like a bunch of areas that are optional that you can discover that are like hidden around a corner. You go around like a little unsuspecting corner and there's an entire new zone with new things to collect and new enemies and new things. And the game never tells you to go there. You just discover it and you're like, God damn, there's a whole thing here. It's really cool. It's open. You can go anywhere. It's got fast travel to move backwards and forwards. It is basically a collectathon like Mario Odyssey, but surprisingly open world. Imagine if in Mario Odyssey, all of the kingdoms were connected in a really clever way, right? That is Jak and Daxter, and it is really old. So like, why did this game, why was it so forward thinking? Why did it have a design that feels so modern? To have like a Dark Souls platformer. It's really impressive given the time it came out. It's a little bit hard to play nowadays because the horizontal analog stick camera movement is inverted and there is no option to uninvert it. So you either have to rewire your brain or using the PS5 backwards compatibility, remap your controller manually. Because otherwise, you just have to play with inverted horizontal camera movement. And there's no way to stop it. I will also say, as a top tip for playing Jak and Daxter, is to play it in 4:3 aspect ratio. Because if you don't, important information will be cut off the screen. Let me find a trailer for Jak and Daxter. Wow, these trailers are going to be very old. Because they are from... My God. Okay, sure, let's just do this. There we go. Dance music is playing, chat. So yeah, it is a collectathon, like an Astro Bot, with you and your little cool dude. I don't know what they're doing with this trailer. I don't know why the entire trailer is just them collecting orbs. Wow, what a cool trailer. Maybe not the best trailer to show what the game is. Just a compilation of them collecting orbs. But yeah, Jak and Daxter, pretty damn good. Like I say, the structure, weirdly forward-thinking. Weirdly like Dark Souls for a platformer. Okay, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. I played this when it came out. This is very good DLC. As has been widely reported, the final boss of this DLC, it is very, very difficult, undeniably. Is it very, very difficult in an unfair way? No. Is it very, very difficult in a frustrating way? Yes. Because the boss kind of invalidates 90% of playstyles, which meant that 90% of players would play the entire DLC and the entire main game with their character. They would get to this boss, and then the boss would just stomp them, and they would not be able to do anything about it. And so you can imagine why people were very, very angry. because it felt like the game was letting them play however they wanted, and then the final boss would say, lol, no, you're playing it wrong now, do this instead, which is kind of annoying. However, if you do adapt, it's not even a skill check. Well, I mean, it kind of is. So you can beat the boss with any build, but the skill required is like above everyone. Like, it's so high. Like, if you happen to be playing it the right way that the boss wants, then it's not that hard at all. But if you're playing it, for example, like a long-range magic build with no summons, you're gonna die. Like, that is not the way that you can beat that boss. And obviously you can, but it's only like the most skilled challenge runners who are ever gonna do that, not you. So it is brutal, and not in a very fun way. However, if you do play it in kind of the way the game wants you to play that fight, it is very fun. I actually really enjoyed the final boss when I played it the way the game wanted me to play it. So I would say it's good. And also, by the way, I've talked an awful lot about the final boss of the DLC, but the rest of the DLC is awesome. It's like that, the final boss is contentious, but I really love the rest of the DLC. Basically everything about it. The soundtrack for the DLC is better than the soundtrack for the main game. Is it big enough to be considered its own game? I mean, if this was released as its own game, if Elden Ring never came out and this was released as a game with no changes, then people would obviously call it a game. It is absolutely a game. However, it is not a game, is it? It's DLC. But it's big enough to be one, if it was one. But it isn't. It's DLC. But if in an alternate universe, yes, it could be a game. It could be. This is gonna be a long stream, or this is a long stream. I've played a lot of games. I don't know how many I played this year, but I played a lot. We are over halfway through, though, I think. Anyway, I haven't ranked it yet. It is obviously a Jud Jame. It is obviously very high in Jud Jame. I might even put it a... It might be there. It might be here. It's very good. It's very good. Yeah, it's very, very good. Shadow of the Erdtree. It's got a lot of good stuff in it. It's very fun. It's got great bosses. It's got great music. The world is really fun to explore. I love the community aspect. I love comparing notes with other people that were playing it. It's really, really good. So I think this feels right. I don't know how to justify it, but this feels right. It deserves to be near the top. It is definitely one of the best things released this year. Whether it's a game or not, it is easily one of the best things. So it should be up here, I reckon. I think so. All right, Banban. From one king of the industry to the next. Banban. Banban is stinky, obviously. It obviously is down here somewhere. But... I mean, it's nowhere near as bad as Unplagued. It's worse than Aoni. I think it's better than Rental. Because Rental is so short and has almost no gameplay. Banban doesn't have much gameplay, but it does have some. And combined, it is better than Rental. But I do think Aoni has a bit of artistic merit that Banban does not. Yeah, Rental was promising, but didn't really deliver anything. It like showed up and was like, hey, you ready for something? And I'm like, I'm ready. And then it didn't do anything. So yeah, that's why it's down there, sadly. I wish I could like it more. But yeah, Banban is above Rental, I think. Yeah, so that's good. If you want to know, I said this earlier, but if you really want to know where I rank the Banban games amongst each other, I've done an entire video about that. It's an hour and a half long. But generally speaking, compared to the wider range of games released this year, Banban is obviously in the Stink Zone. Obviously, they didn't all release this year, but I did play them all for the first time this year. So it's here. And again, let it be said that Unplagued is like all the way down here. And then Baisu is like halfway down. Okay, that's Garten of Banban. Decimate Drive, which I did make a video about. This is a hard one, actually. Decimate Drive is a game where you're running around an abandoned city, and it is full of cars that are all trying to kill you. And the game is basically just dodging cars that are trying to run you over. The concept is very funny, and it is surprisingly fun to play. It is also surprisingly scary to turn a corner, and there's a pair of headlights like bolting towards you at 100 miles an hour. It's pretty unique and pretty fun. I really liked hearing like a car radio in the distance, slowly getting louder, and that being something that would fill you with dread. It's really funny to watch. It was really funny. It's also fun to play. So, like, my gut says an game. I think there's a fun factor that needs to be taken into account. Okay, Decimate Drive, because it got cut off. I'm going to put it in Jud. I think it is about as low as you could get in Jud, because it is pretty low budget feeling. But I think the idea, the concept, and the execution of the concept of, like I say, a distant car radio rumbling towards you, seeing a pair of headlights come round a corner, that stuff is really effective. I said it was at the lowest it could be on Jud. I think I was lying. I think I'm going to put it... I didn't play enough Escape Simulator to know how good it is. I'm going to put it here, below the Glitched Attraction. Yeah. I think it's going to go here, actually. It's not the Judist, but it isn't the least Judist. And nor is it the most Jud. I like it better than Finding Frankie. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I do think if I had to replay one of these games, I would replay Frankie, though. Because I actually tried to replay Decimate Drive, because for a brief moment in time, I got some sort of brain parasite, and I thought I would speedrun this game. I thought, you know what would be fun? Is if I speedran Decimate Drive. So I booted it up to kind of test its potential for speedrunning, and I played it for like 5 minutes, and then I went, you know what? I don't think I want to play this again. I don't want to play it again, and I don't want to dedicate 2 weeks of my life to speedrunning it. So, nah. So, I think I would rather play Frankie. But it is good. And the first playthrough is very funny. Very funny. They've also added new modes and, like, maps to this. Speedrunning can be fun. Well, here's the thing about speedrunning, is that I find speedrunning fun when there is no movement tech. Because what I do not find fun is having to be like, crouch, jump, slide, crouch, jump, slide, crouch, jump, slide, crouch, jump, slide, just to move at the maximum speed. That is so annoying to me. I would only ever want to speedrun a game if the fastest way to move is by holding forward. Like, or by sliding over and over again. But not when you've got to do like a combination of buttons repeatedly to move fast. I hate that. So Decimate Drive was a game that I think had movement tech. There was one post from one person saying something like, I discovered you can go fast if you crouch and do something. And I tried it, and it does work, but it was very annoying to do. So I decided not to do it. Like Security Breach's jump sprint? Yeah, exactly. That's why whenever I tried to do anything that vaguely approached a speed run in Security Breach, you never saw me do that. Because I hate movement tech. Hate it. Tremax says, I speedran Skull and had the world record for a bit, and it was very fun, but I never want to do that point again. Do you mean... Oh, never want to get to that point again? No, here's the thing. I am a speedrun world record holder, chat. You may not know. But I speedran a game called... What was it called? Refund Me If You Can 2 Lexi's Story. I decided I would speedrun something for fun. And I did, and I have the world record, but the reason why I have the world record is because literally no one else has speedrun it, because that game sold like 30 copies. So that's why no one else has the world record. But I discovered a bunch of glitches for it. I wrote like a guide, so that if anyone else wants to speedrun it, they can. But I discovered like a way to infinitely gain height. I discovered a way to run on air. I discovered a way to do like crazy long jumps because that game was incredibly broken. So I discovered a bunch of movement tech and got the world record, a world record I was pretty happy with. And then no one else ever played it. And then the game got patched because I was the only person playing it. And the developers saw it, and they were like, oh, that's really cute. I'm glad someone is speedrunning our game, but we are gonna patch it. So they patched it. So I don't even know if anyone could even beat my record anymore. Sad. Sad. But yeah, that was a fun, like, 5 days when I decided I was gonna speedrun Refund Me If You Can Lexi story. In fact, there is an unlisted video on Backseat Streams, which is my world record. It's linked to on speedrun.com, but you wouldn't be able to find it any other way. Now I can see how you took all our mates. I showed them my world record for Refund Me If You Can Lexi story. How to keep your record, have the game patched afterwards. Not only have the game patched afterwards, but have it be a game that no one would care to down patch either. And that way, you've got a record locked in. Me and the developers were in cahoots to patch my record into eternity. You love it. Okay, next up we have Slayers X. Now, I think I'm going to have to show you Slayers X, because you're never going to know what I'm talking about if I don't show you this. Okay, a trailer for the movie Nosferatu is playing. Let's let that run its course. You don't need to see a trailer for Nosferatu, chat. I do want to watch that. There we go. So this is Slayers X. Terminal Aftermath Vengeance of the Slayer. This is not what most of the game looks like, this MS Paint stuff. The game is a first-person shooter, which you will see very shortly. Oh my god, look at him swearing, saying mother flippin' turd pile. Oh my goodness gracious. There we go. This is what the game looks like. It is a very silly game that is meant to look like a kind of Doom clone. It's got a really funny 90s, early 2000s attitude. There's lots of poo jokes, lots of your mum jokes, lots of very immature jokes. And it's pretty fun. It's got a good vibe. I like the looks of this a lot. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I really like the MS Paint cutscene we got here as well. You hacked my computer, you killed my best friend, and you thought you killed me. For 2 years I've been biting my time. Hack blood energy rages through my veins. Hope you're ready, you mother flippin' turd pile. I'm the X-Slayer, is what he says. Very fun. This game is actually, what I would say, the American BS voice. Well, I've heard this trailer with the sound on, so I know what he sounds like. And that is what he sounds like. Oh dear. But anyway, I'll leave you on this this machine saying tastes like pee to run you down the gameplay. So it is basically a Doom clone. It's got secrets hidden in walls and stuff like that. It has got a very fun art style and attitude. I was gonna say it's carried by the visuals, but that's not even true, because it has some interesting gameplay ideas. Like, for example, there are windows all over the game, and if you break a window, glass goes everywhere. And there is a weapon that is a shotgun that shoots glass. So the glass from the windows is the ammo for your shotgun. So you can break windows to collect ammo for your shotgun, that sort of thing. It's very fun. It's actually genuinely got some pretty fun stuff. and it's got a good sense of humor because it's made by the guy who made Hypnospace Outlaw, which is a very funny game. I would once again say that this is a good game. However, it's like this entire game. Okay, I need to explain something. This entire game is a joke. It's like its entire reason for existing is a joke. And is it a good joke? It's a good joke. But is it a joke that needs an entire game? I don't know about that. Because basically, in the game Hypnospace Outlaw, there is a character called ZANE. And ZANE is an edgy teenager who has very immature sense of humor and draws comics in MS Paint. And this entire game is a joke of like, what if ZANE made a game? That is it. Like, the entire game is a joke about a character from another game. And I deeply respect the bit that you would make an entire shooter as a joke. And it's like I say, it's a very good joke. I do enjoy playing it a lot, but I didn't finish it, if that tells you anything about it. I played like 3 or 4 levels and I was like, this is a very good joke. And then I just, I didn't play it anymore. I like it better now. 1 minute, let me find something. So, this is Zane's website in Hypnospace Outlaw. Zane rocks, my name is Zane on here. Is Zane rocks 14, but I'm actually 15. A few things you should know about me. I run a secret page. And all that sort of, like, he's very edgy and cringe. He's got, this is like a 3D rotating GIF of a gun with explosions. And although it is not on this screenshot, his status is sexy both on and offline. That is his status. And so the developer being like, what if I made a game but Zane was the developer, is very funny. And so yeah, good job. I think it is a good game. Like I say, there's some interesting gameplay stuff in it, but not the best. I'm going to put it below Decimate Drive. Very funny joke. Good job to the developer. Next up, Like a Dragon Ishin. Like a Dragon Ishin. Chat ranks Zane's website as cool at 92%. I'm glad the chat enjoys Zane's website. He's in Zane. Saying in Zane is exactly the sort of thing Zane would say. There's a meme that I have adopted with some of my friends now, which is that Zane has a Twitter account. The developer has a Twitter account in character as Zane, where he will respond to stuff in character as Zane, and a thing he always does is like retweet a picture of a skull with fire and just say, whoa. I really like that Zane Twitter account. It's called Zane Rocks 36, I think. Zane _rocks _36. Pretty good, pretty good. So yeah, Zane as a character is Game of the Year. He's the Zane of the Year. Oh god, you know what? You know, I'm actually too scared to create a new tier, but if I could create a new tier for ZOTY, then Zane of the Year would get, Zane would live in Zane of the Year. But otherwise he's here, I think. I'm too scared. I don't want to break the tier list because we've done so much work that if the tier list breaks, I lose all of this. I can't handle that. But in my heart, he's in a new tier called Zane of the Year. You know what? Fine. The easiest way is until we decide Game of the Year, I will change it to Zane of the Year, and he can live there. For now, until we create Game of the Year. The Zoti. There we go. Let's get back to the tier list now, and let's stop getting distracted by Zane. Oh dear. All right. Like a Dragon Ishin. 1 minute. Let me find a good tweet by Zane. Oh my god, there's one. That's a good one. All right. You ready? Look at this cool shark thing. Whoa. That's so cool. Whoa. That is cool. I know Zane knows what he's doing. All right, ZANE is up in ZANE of the Year. There's also a funny thing about ZANE is that he will argue with people in character on Twitter, and they don't know it's a joke most of the time. So he'll spell something wrong, and someone will be like, you spelt that wrong. And he'll be like, no, I didn't, you idiot. I slept with your mum. And they'll be like, that's really immature of you. And he'll just keep going, and they don't know that he's in character. It's very funny. He is a Sigma male. It's true. You know what? While we're in ZANE mode, shall I play a little bit of ZANE's favorite music for you? I can't believe this is becoming a ZANE stream. So ZANE loves a band called Seepage. This is the band, okay? This is the band, by the way. Seepage. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty hardcore. Anyway, you can look up more Seepage music because there are actually a few Seepage songs that have been made. They've made a few Seepage songs. They're out there. We've got to bring it back. We've got to bring it back to the tier list. All right, here we go. Like a Dragon Ishin. Like a Dragon Ishin has been neglected so much. I keep saying its name and then immediately talking about ZANE again. All right, Like a Dragon Ishin. This is a remake of one of the old Like a Dragon or Yakuza games. However, I feel like this one actually isn't remade enough. It feels like the older games in the Yakuza series, so I'm not a big fan of this. I stopped playing. I heard the plot is really good, and the plot did seem pretty good from what I played, but I just couldn't make it through. You know that meme where it's like a nerd emoji, and it's like, oh, the clunkiness, oh, the clunkiness. That was me. I was feeling the clunkiness. I couldn't push on. So sadly, it lives here, yeah. It's down in endgame. I'm going to rank it above... You know what? Man... I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it next to content warning. Like I say, I really wanted to like this. I was actually really excited to play Samurai Yakuza, but the clunkiness, I just couldn't. I couldn't get through it. Sad. I know, I really wanted to like this one. Rental and Like a Dragon Ishin are examples of games I was really wanting to enjoy, and sadly could not. Ao Oni is lower. Yeah, I mean, my playthrough was like pulling teeth. I couldn't rank it any higher. I do know that it is a classic and that a lot of people like it. This isn't from like anger that it's down here. I just cannot in good conscience act like I feel neutral about it, because obviously I wasn't neutral. Like that stream was torturous. So it has to be here. Has to be here. Will you ever play FNAF Help Wanted 2 flat mode? No, I'll play it VR someday. I own it. I actually bought it on the winter sale. So I do own Help Wanted 2 now. I'll play it VR at some point. Okay, Home Safety Hotline is a very, very easy Jud game. This game was a lot of fun to play. I had so much fun streaming this. And also, weirdly, the VOD channel. The VOD channel is like an interesting like barometer of how the general streaming audience feels about a game. And weirdly, Home Safety Hotline did pretty well. Like it did pretty well on the VOD channel, which is a surprise because I really would have thought that people wouldn't even know what this game was. But I enjoyed streaming it. It seems like people enjoyed watching it. I would rank it pretty high, honestly. Where would I put it? Would I put it above Dyson Fold? Yes. Would I put it above Escape? Yes. Would I put it above Decimate? Yes. Yes. You know what? There we go. That's better. That's better. Yeah, Home Safety Hotline is here, I think. I really did enjoy Home Safety Hotline, and it seems like people enjoyed watching it. So I'm very glad that we all agree Home Safety Hotline is a banger of a game. It's a Jud game through and through. So Home Safety Hotline is a game where you play a cryptid call center employee, and you have to help people with their homely issues, which are often revolving around cryptids in their home, and also sometimes mice. It's one or the other. You kind of, as part of your job, you need to figure out whether it is mice or a boggart. It could be either. And it's pretty fun. Fake Beats, is that one of the cryptids? No, it is a lot of fun. Also, another thing that is fun about it is that often the people calling in are not doing a very good job of explaining the issue. So you kind of have to read between the lines. So for example, when someone phones up and says that their son has joined a weird cult where they love trees, and they put a tree in my back garden and put his clothes on it, and that's what she phones up about, you have to put two and two together and realize that her son has in fact become a tree, and he's very dead. And you have to just figure that out and tell her it. And that's pretty fun. Yeah, it's a good game. Home Safety Hotline is pretty fun. I would say that, yeah, it deserves its spot. Also, there are very funny images from Home Safety Hotline, like of an evil dog. How do you go from tree to sun? Well, it's the other way around. It goes from sun to tree. And there is no way to go from tree to sun. So she's just going to have to live with her new tree boy. Next up is a game no one has heard of called Mouthwashing. Definitely no one has asked me to skip to Mouthwashing in this tier list. This is Mouthwashing, if you don't know what it is. See, there's mouthwash in this game. And flashing lights, seemingly. There's a lot of data moshing in this game. I never normally see games utilize data moshing, which is this kind of glitchy effect where things kind of like glitch through as a transition into something else. But Mouthwashing uses data moshing very effectively. If you don't know what mouthwashing is, it is effectively a walking simulator story game. There are moments of gameplay beyond that. However, the moments of gameplay are the worst parts of mouthwashing. Every time mouthwashing expects you to do something beyond walking around and talking to people, those are the worst parts. However, that is made up for by the fact that the game has a big life beyond that. So, Mouthwashing is a game that asks a bunch of moral questions, and sometimes not even moral questions, it just presents a scenario. And the fun of Mouthwashing is less the gameplay, and it's not even the story as you're playing it. The fun of Mouthwashing is chewing on it after the fact, talking about it with people you know, talking about if you can relate to situations and characters and different readings on whether certain characters are good or bad. There's a lot of fun to be had in the conversations that come after the game, to the point where I would say Mouthwashing as a game is like here, but Mouthwashing as a cultural talking point is like here. In fact, it's probably above Alan Wake. Honestly. Walking simulator isn't a bad thing on its own. No. Because the point is that the walking simulator is just a means of getting to the bit that you actually care about. And it's not intrusive. The reason why the actual gameplay is the worst part is because the actual gameplay does get in the way. When the game actually throws gameplay at you and suddenly it's expecting you to do something, that kind of gets in the way of the good stuff, which is the story and the characters and all that. So that is why the gameplay is the worst bit. Thank God it's mostly a walking simulator, so you can actually experience the game mostly unimpeded. It is a story first and a game second. Yeah, for sure. Also, people have been asking me who my favorite character is. I mean, here's the thing. It depends. It depends what you want from a favorite character. Because if you want your favorite character to be nice, and that's all you want, say you want your favorite character to just be someone where you go, they're nice, then that's Daisuke, because he's the nicest guy. Like, he's very sweet, he's very innocent, he's like a puppy-made man, right? So, obviously, Daisuke is like the nicest character, but do you want a character who's got a different vibe? Like maybe, God, what's his name? Swansea. Then maybe Swansea's your favorite character. Maybe you want a character to be sympathetic. Then maybe Anya is your favorite character. If you want a character who is like kind of a tangled mess of motivations and you love to psychoanalyze them, then maybe you like Curly. And so it's kind of hard for me to pick my favorite because I kind of like all of those aspects. I think it's probably between Swansea and Daisuke. Probably. I like Swansea quite a lot. Swansea's cool. Yeah, I mean, I could talk a bunch about my analysis of mouthwashing. I'm afraid to say, because I know there's a huge part of the mouthwashing community who really like Curly. My opinion of Curly is more complicated than he's cool or that he's nice. I actually kind of hate it when people draw Curly being friends with Anya, because I feel like Curly has let down a lot of people on that ship, and especially Anya. So I really do not like when people draw him being buddies with everyone else. However, I do think he's interesting, and I don't think he's true evil either. I don't think he's like the most evil person in the world. I just think he's let a lot of people down, and so people glossing over that is kind of annoying to me. But I do like him as a character, though. He's an interesting character. I don't think he's evil on himself, but he's not evil, but he's not anti-evil. Or if he is anti-evil, he's anti-evil in the most flimsy way. No, don't be evil. You know what I mean? Like that sort of guy. Like he lets a lot of people down. He's the person in power and he needs to do more than that. So, you know what I mean? But he is human. Like you say, hang on, I'm thinking. Like, he's very... You can figure out his thought process. And so that's why he's an interesting character, because there's a lot to chew over with Curly and about, like... Well, there's literally a line in the game. There's literally a line in the game where someone says, do your worst moments define you? Does that make you who you are? And I think that applies a lot to Curly, because it's like, okay, Curly has been questionable in certain ways, but does that make him a bad person? Or what? And I do think that those sort of discussions are super good. Okay, and now hear what we're doing now when we're talking. This is why mouthwashing is good. This is the reason mouthwashing is good. Not the walking around in a video game part. It is the talking about stuff and the kind of figuring out where you draw the lines for certain things. And that is the appeal of mouthwashing. It is an incredible conversation piece, and I think that it is one of the most talked about games of the year for that reason. And I enjoyed playing it mostly because I enjoyed what came afterwards, of talking to people. Talking to people about it, I mean. It's complicated and I like thinking. Pandora's books, you are so right. I like thinking about stuff. I like thinking about media and I like questioning myself. And if I feel someone did something right or wrong, why do I feel that? Where am I drawing the line here? I like interrogating myself like that. And that's why it's good. That's why it's good. So yeah, mouthwashing, I am putting up here. At Dead of Night, I enjoy the gameplay of more. And gameplay is king for me, so it goes a little bit above. But I do think that it goes above all these. I do think mouthwashing clears. It's very good. I like your videos and your editing is great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next up is, oh my god, it's UFO 50. Oh my goodness. So UFO 50, this is a game that my audience don't really care about, and I don't blame them. Like, it's a very different, weird game to what I would usually play. So my streams for it do not like set the world on fire. I know my audience are not super fond on it. However, in terms of what I played on my own time, this goes right at the top, and it's one of these two. Like, it's either UFO 50 or Balatro. These are the two games I spent the most time playing this year. UFO 50, if you don't know, is a compilation of 50 games in a retro style, but they're all brand new games. They're all from a single fictional company in the 80s. And there's kind of like a vague, like, through line through all the games where you can intuit, like, they decided that they really liked this element of game design here, or this guy got to make a game, or this guy got to make a game, and you see recurring characters and characters becoming mascots, and the games themselves are really good. They're not all good, but that makes it even better. If it was 50 bangers, that would be cool. But the fact that there's 50 bangers and there's like 45 bangers and 5 absolute turds makes this way more fun, because everyone can join together and collectively hate the 5 games that stink. So is it like a Wario game? No. So the games are full-on games. So the games are like a 20-hour RPG, or like a really, really difficult platformer that will take you 5 hours to beat. They are full games, not mini games. Not micro games, not mini games. They are full-on games. And yeah, Onion Delivery is a bit of a stinker. It's not quite like Roblox because the games are good. Sorry, I'm waiting to see the chat's reaction. Okay, I finally got a reaction. That's good. That's what I wanted to see. All right, yeah, so not Roblox, oh my good God. UFO 50 is really good. I spent so much time with it. And it's very hard to explain why without just saying, I don't know, it's fun and there's a lot of games. I like the variety. I like that it made me feel like I'm discovering a treasure chest from the 1980s that was lost under a railway track, and now they found it and there's cool games in there. That's kind of how I feel. 50 whole games. Yep, they're pretty cute. Rail Heist is an absolute banger. Very, very, very fun. You know what? They should have made a FNAF-like, and then maybe my audience would have liked it. But alas, sadly not. But yeah, I would recommend this game. In terms of value for money, I have spent like 170 hours playing this, and it's only £20. So it is definitely value for money. Thank you, UFO 50, for existing. You are potentially one of my games of the year. Once Game of the Year comes back and ZANE of the Year is over, it's probably going to be one of these two. All right, next up, let's whiz through a few now. I'm on observation duty. I'm on observation duty is an game. It's good, but it's very simple. I would say it is under content warning, under Ishin. I don't know. I think as simple as the game is, the gameplay is pretty compelling, because Spot the Difference is popular for a reason. Because it is fun to go, wait a minute, did that open? Wait a minute, is that different? Wait a minute. It is fourth dimensional Spot the Difference, because rather than comparing two images, you're having to like take mental stock of the situation and notice if anything changes over time. So it is pretty good. It is Jud for what it is. It is not Jud enough to be injured, but it is definitely Jud enough. Then we have I'm on Observation Duty 2, which is the same, although this one had a jump scare that was graphically sexual in a way that I needed to blur it in the VOD, which means it goes above the other one. Switch-swoo. They live a little bit about here. However, Huge Man, it does have... Wait, was Huge Man in number 2? Or number 1? I think it was number 2. Now, in actual reality, okay, I'm on Observation Duty 1 for the novelty might be a little bit higher. I didn't like the PS2 level of the second game. The PS2 level kind of took the fun out of it, because I really liked that it looks like you're looking at security cameras. And the fact that it looks like a PS2 obviously ruins that. So I actually didn't like the second game as much, sadly. Next up, 9 Souls. 9 Souls is Hollow Knight, but with a hand-drawn art style. It also has the gameplay of Sekiro a little bit. It is a... You know what? I can show this one. Do be aware, though, that Nine Souls contains blood and gore. It is a very pretty game. The music is very, very good as well. It is a very difficult game. And the gameplay is pretty satisfying when you get your head around it. Well, the reason why I gave a warning about gore is because I was watching a streamer called Joseph Anderson who was playing this, and he was saying that he told his son, who's a child, I don't know the age, but is a child, that he could play this game because it looked cute. And then when he was playing the game on stream, he was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god!" Because it was like so much blood and gore. So yeah, like it's not for kids, even though it's got a cute cat. It ain't for kids. Like, the very start of the game, one of the inciting incidents is multiple people getting their heads crushed. So yeah, it's not for kids. It sounds amazing. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Nine Souls is good. However, my experience with Nine Souls is that I played it right up until the first proper boss, where the game gets a little bit challenging, and I played the boss. That was really fun. I managed to overcome the boss, and I was like, damn, that was satisfying as hell. Then I got into a new zone, and I was like, you know what? I'll explore this zone properly tomorrow. And then I never played it again. And that is an issue I have. I do this all the time, that I put a game down, and then I say I'll play that like tomorrow, and then I never play it again. And it's not Nine Souls' fault, but I just didn't come back to it, sadly. Sorry about that. It is definitely good. It is definitely good. What I played was really good. But I have played like 10% of the game, maybe 15% of the game. So I don't really have enough to give a good first impression, sadly. But it is good. I'll put it above Frankie and Sunless and Buckshot. I think, right, if I was trying to do this 100% objectively, then it would probably go right near the top. But because I've barely played much of it, I can't really rank it above games that I've completed, I feel. Because how can I rank a game I've only played a bit of above something that I saw through to the end? Next up, Silent Hill 2 Remake. Another Judd Jane. I actually really enjoyed my playthrough of Silent Hill 2 Remake because of you, chat. Because of you. I re-experienced Silent Hill 2 because I got to see it for the first time through your eyes and see you all speculate. It made my playthrough way better. I had a great time. And it is a benefit that not many streamers do, because every streamer who knows Silent Hill, generally speaking, their audience are going to be big Silent Hill nerds and are going to know everything about the game. But I had the benefit of knowing and you didn't know. And I'm very appreciative of that. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I do rank it pretty high. Now, these are all the AAA games. There's like a chunk of AAA games up here. I think I'd put it here. I think I'd put it at the start of the AAA chunk. So above At Dead of Night and Mouthwashing, but before Astro, Final Fantasy, Like a Dragon, Erdtree. It goes here. Right near the top, but not at the top. If you're talking about the remake, then it's bad. If you're talking about the original, then it's fine. It's hard to tell if that's a parody chat message or not. But the funny thing is that people experiencing the remake fresh, it's kind of like the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth thing. Every single playthrough I've seen playing the remake, who's never played Silent Hill 2, they love it. It's like their favorite thing. They think it's one of the best games ever made. And yet, there are a segment of Silent Hill 2 fans who are like, trash, garbage trash. And it's like, I don't know what you want, man. Because like everyone who's playing this for the first time loves it. And I loved it. I don't know what they want. I don't know what you want out of this. Some story elements were messed up? Not really. The story's exactly the same. To the point where some cutscenes are even the exact same text. It's basically, like I say, it's the Final Fantasy VII Remake thing, where like the hardcore fans, for some reason, have a bone to pick with it. And I don't know, because I am the fans for this one, so I don't know what the issue is. I would normally attribute it to something I don't know, but I do know, and yet I still don't know. So it's confusing. What is Silent Hill even about? Silent Hill is a psychological horror with combat that is similarish to Resident Evil, and that works, by the way, if you're talking about the original or the remake, because the original was ripping off Resident Evil combat, and the remake is ripping off modern Resident Evil combat. So it works no matter which one you're talking about, but it is more of a thoughtful psychological horror than Resident Evil, which is more about bang bang pew pew scary zombie. But I really like it. It goes up here. Next up, Moving Houses. Moving Houses is a game that I played in the final hour of 2024. So I actually was like, you know what? I want to play one more game before 2024 ends. So I played Moving Houses because I knew that it would be short. Tremax says, man, what a tone shift. Or is it? Or is it? Moving Houses is a home moving simulator, kind of like something like Unpacking, where you've got to pack up your house to move, and it's, you know, one of those very chill kind of cozy games where you just, you know, you walk down your corridors and you and the graveyards, and you pack your things for your house to move, and then you just don't think about it. You pack the boxes and you get ready to move, and you move out the house, and you just make sure you don't think about it. That is basically the game. It is like a psychological horror in disguise as a house moving game. It is decent. Kind of. Moving Houses, I really wish I liked more. I think there's a big issue with Moving Houses, which is that it absolutely... All right, if you think about a game like this as two halves, and half number one is the cute game that it's pretending to be, and half number two is the scary game that it actually is, right? Moving Houses nails the cute game. It genuinely nails the aesthetic of the cute game that it's pretending to be. However, the scary game that it wants to turn into is also cute. Like, they didn't do the scary enough. It still looks like a cartoon and isn't very scary, and it's like just like a grave outline of a person, like, oh, it's not scary. So it sadly wants to do the I tricked you, it's a scary game, but it isn't a scary game. So it's going in and game. It does nail at least half of what it wants to nail. I'm going to put it between WitchHand and Exiled. Yeah, it's going in here. Moving Houses does a few things really well, though. It has a very cool little jingle that is very cute, and it has a very good end credit sequence. Indigo Park has a better end credit sequence, and we'll get to Indigo Park in a bit, but the end credit sequence of Moving Houses is pretty good. So yeah, I do like it. Next up, Cyberpunk DLC. Cyberpunk 2077 is a Jud Jame, and the DLC is a Jud Jame. I think this came out last year, but I played it this year. I also only actually finished Cyberpunk 2077 this year. The final mission of Cyberpunk 2077 was like waiting on my PS5 for me to finally complete it for like a full calendar year until I finally beat the DLC, and then I finally beat the game. But yeah, as Seal the Deal says, Cyberpunk 2077, although it... By the way, will I ever say that name without stumbling? Let's see. It started off rocky, where it launched broken, and the ports were so bad that they got pulled from the store. Like a really technically poorly put together piece of fiction at release. However, now, if you want to know now if Cyberpunk is good, yeah, man, it's really good. And the DLC is really good as well. So, like, the past kind of is irrelevant at this stage because you're not buying the game in the past. You're buying the game now. And if you want to play the DLC for Cyberpunk or the game now, it's great. So I would say this is high. It's above a lot of these. You know what? I'm putting it below Mouthwashing because it's DLC. And I know Elden Ring is also DLC, but Elden Ring is better. There are 3 rows of Judd James, and it is in the top row. So it is good. But yes, Cyberpunk is great. If you want to know the reasons I love Cyberpunk so much, is because the ideas in the main quest, and especially the ideas in the side quests, and the ideas in the DLC, are pretty compelling and interesting from a sci-fi perspective that I would often bump into. And here's the thing, right? Okay, I'm going to spoil one side quest for you. In Cyberpunk 2077. I still cannot say that name without stumbling. The guys at CD Projekt Red, they love to do a thing where they will give you a side quest that sounds really boring. And it's secretly the best side quest ever made. In Cyberpunk 2077, there is a quest where the mission is a guy wants to kill someone, so you meet him at a bar, and then you will go to a car and blow the car up. That is the quest. However, when you go to blow the car up, you will see that it has a police escort. The police escort will kill the guy who hired you, and you will have it revealed to you that the reason the guy wanted to blow up this car is because inside is a convicted criminal. And he wanted revenge because that criminal killed his wife. The criminal, though, has reformed. He's now born-again Christian, and he wants to go around and forgive or get forgiveness from the families of his victims. And he's actually going on a tour around the city to ask forgiveness of the families of his victims. But here's the thing. Why is he allowed to do that? Why is he allowed out of prison? Well, he's allowed out of prison because a movie studio has got their eye on him. Because in the future, there's a new kind of movies where you can record someone's point of view and their emotions. And this guy is so born-again Christian, he wants to be the next Jesus, and he wants to crucify himself and die on the cross for his sins. And the movie studio are like, that sounds like gold. So we're going to pay the prison to release him, and that will sell loads. And so you are now introduced into this equation, and you can make moral decisions like, hey, is he being exploited by the movie studio? Because he does want to do this. He does want to do this, but they're letting him do this when they maybe shouldn't, but he does want to do this, so is it okay? He is also getting forgiveness from people, which he clearly wants. Do you step in? Do you not step in? The movie studio will then come up to you and they will say, okay, this guy likes you. And we feel like he will listen to what you say. And so we really don't want you to convince him to not do this. So we will actually pay you double what you were going to get paid anyway if you convince him to go along with it. So now you've got a monetary incentive for him to go through with it. And there's all these moral implications. And I stress, it starts from a quest which is just blow up a car for a dude. They love doing this. They love doing this in their side quests. And it is really, really good. And the Cyberpunk DLC does that. It does that sort of stuff. So it's really, really good. Cyberpunk is a great game. The DLC is a great game. I would definitely recommend picking it up if you feel like that sort of thing at some point. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And by the way, it's very funny seeing chat's reaction to that quest as I added each new element. When I got to the crucifixion element, the chat was like moving so fast. Everyone was like, what? And a big tonal shift from that, the duck detective. Let me get some footage of the duck detective for you, chat. Here he is. So yeah, The Duck Detective is a detective game where you play as a duck. I played this across the year. It is a fairly short experience. I would say it's maybe like an hour or two. And it's pretty cute. I will say, as a detective game, it isn't the deepest thing in the world. Like, I think it could have been a little more open so that you can solve it more at your own pace. It's pretty guided. You know, it's not very free-form, but it is cute, and the writing is cute. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes a decent mystery with cute art and cute characters is enough. And yeah, that's The Duck Detective. How could you dislike it? Exactly, chat. How could you dislike it? And I don't dislike it. I don't. I feel like it's at least as good as these, so if I'm going to put these here, then The Duck Detective should also go there. However, it isn't as good as, like, these. It's not as good as these. So it lives in the bottom row no matter what. I think I prefer Dyson Fold because I've played it for a lot of time. So it lives here. Below Dyson Fold, but probably above Fights in Tight Spaces. Next up, Doom Eternal. Talk about tonal whiplash again. I played Doom Eternal this year. I don't know why this is so desaturated, this square of Doom Eternal. It's normally a bit more red than this. Doom Eternal. Maybe I should speak at half speed. Maybe my issue is that I'm speaking too fast. Doom Eternal is a game about fighting demons. In this game, the demons have come from hell to Earth. You're not in hell, like some of Doom 1, nor are you on the moon, because you're not even on the moon in Doom 1. You're on Mars. My bad. Doom Eternal is a very gamey game. There are power-ups floating in the air. There's, like, super fast movement. I feel like I need to take a lay down when I've played Doom Eternal. It's quite exhausting. There's a weird thing about Doom Eternal where I will see that there's going to be a big fight, and I will sigh, and I will be like, I don't want to do a big fight. I don't want to do this. And then I will do the fight, and it'll be really fun. But regardless, the next fight I see, I'll be like, I don't want to do a big fight. These demand so much of me. I don't want to do this. And then I'll have a lot of fun. But then the next fight, I don't want to do this. I'm too tired for this boss. I don't want to do this. So it's kind of weird. It's exhausting. But it is undeniably fun. I mean, it's better. It is definitely better than the bottom row. I feel bad putting it above 9 Souls because I've played so little of 9 Souls. I also didn't finish... I didn't finish Doom Eternal either because of the exhaustion I was talking about. Also, I hate how this is filled with Bethesda microtransactions. Not that you ever have to actually do them, but it's always got like gamer tags and unlocking stuff for your gamer profile. It's so cringe, man. It wants me to make a Bethesda account to play a single-player shooter. Hot garbage. Hate it. It's the only reason I haven't played the new Prince of Persia, because I know that that game also wants you to make an Ubisoft account for a single-player game. It's rubbish. ZANE would never. ZANE would never. Although he would probably really like Doom Eternal, to be honest, because it is his sort of aesthetic. I mean, it has the downsides I've listed. Would I rather finish Doom Eternal or play these games? Let's go like this, okay? Would I rather finish Doom Eternal or replay Dredge? I'd rather finish Doom Eternal. Would I rather finish Doom Eternal or finish Cryptmaster? I'd rather finish Doom Eternal. Would I rather finish Doom Eternal or replay Chants of Sennaar? I think I would rather replay Chants of Sennaar. So I think Doom Eternal stops here. I think this is where we reach. It's plonked down here. Cryptmaster is good as well, for sure, it is, but both of these are games that burn me out because they require so much of my brain. And I feel like Doom Eternal maybe just has more. So I'll put them next to each other, but here. These are both in the exact spot where a game that exhausts me but is undeniably good lives. Doesn't feel fair comparing finishing a game to replaying. I would actually agree with you, but I would say that the finishing a game should have the upper hand. So if I would rather replay Chants of Sennaar than finish Doom Eternal, then that's even more reason that Doom should stop here. Because that's just asking me to repeat content over finishing. So yeah. Indigo Park. Indigo Park. Okay, Indigo Park is... Now, we've all had some time to reflect on Indigo Park, and I think even Unique Geese would agree that Indigo Park has some good points and some bad points. The good point is everything except the gameplay, of which there is almost none. Everything else is good. The gameplay is massively simple, though. Like, it is just walking about. There is almost no additional gameplay. And so, like, it's free, so it can only be good. However, it's hard to put it any higher. Like, for example, you compare it to something like Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. Does Indigo Park do the world building and character stuff better than Poppy Playtime Chapter 1? 1000%. Indigo Park is way better than Poppy Chapter 1 in that regard. Does Indigo Park do gameplay better than Poppy Chapter 1? Absolutely not. Poppy Playtime Chapter 1 has the extendo hands, and you can loop them around electrical things and solve puzzles. Like, Poppy 1 is head and shoulders gameplay above Indigo Park 1. So it's like, it does some things that are like better than other games in the genre, and it does some stuff worse. And so it isn't going to be like up here. I think it is going to live actually at the bottom of Judge James. It is completely free though. So again, like, you know, you can't really take any fault. But like, Finding Frankie and Indigo Park, Finding Frankie's obviously above Indigo Park, because Finding Frankie has funny world building and characters and gameplay. And Indigo Park has funny world building and characters, but not the gameplay. Chapter 2 will hopefully be better gameplay. Chapter 2 will 100% be better gameplay, because Unique Geese has made like tweets about it, where it seems like he's taking that on board, and a big focus for Chapter 2 is going to be gameplay. So I don't feel bad about this. I feel like Unique Geese would agree. And I feel like he's working to improve that in Chapter 2. So yeah, I think this is a fair enough place for it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Chapter 2. Should be good. But yeah, that's where Indigo Park goes for me. We are thankfully getting towards the end of the games I've played. Next, we've got Zoochosis. Zoochosis is... It's good. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. I barely played it, though. I played the start of it, and then I started breaking it. So it's kind of hard for me to get an idea of what the intended gameplay loop is of Zoochosis. It is edgy. There are people who are naked getting put in like a grinder who do not need to be naked. Like, you can just drop a person in a grinder and say that they turned into meat. You don't need to make them naked. So there are a lot of choices that feel like they were made to be edgy, yes. A lot of the chat is saying stinky, but I do not agree. I definitely wouldn't say it's stinky. I had a fun time with what I played. And the gameplay was basically kind of like, what would it be? Like Among Us, but with zoo animals? It's like a detective game, kind of, because you have to figure out which animal is infected. It's an interesting concept. And the visuals on the zoo animals mutating is pretty cool. If it's an game, then it is the very top of an game. What else have I put in an game? Baby and Yellow. You know what? It is about the same level as Baby and Amanda. It's about here. I do think it's better than Observation Duty, though. In fact, I take back what I said. I think both of these are better than Observation Duty. There we go. Yeah, okay. Zoochosis goes there for me, I think. I don't want to put it at the top of An Game, because I do think that these are probably better. But, yeah, it lives up here. Whoa! Oh my god, An Game and Little Stinky both got 10 votes. They perfectly tied in the quick poll that the mods just did. So the chat is divided. I, however, am not divided, as I am naught but a single boy. And I'm going to put it here, in An Game. Yeah. I don't think I could put it in Jud. And if I did, it would be at the bottom of Jud, because I can't put Zoochosis above a lot of these. But it isn't stinky, in my opinion. It's going here. I do think that the gameplay has potential. It's fine. I really like the branching nature of the endings. Like, it seems like there's a bunch of endings you can get, and that's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, let's put Zoochosis there. Next up, Old School Rally. Another game that no one will know about, I assume. Old School Rally is, you're never going to believe this, it is a retro game where you play doing rally stuff. You'll never believe it, but it is an old school rally game. Who would have thought? It's pretty good at mimicking the games it is trying to mimic. So if you know Colin McRae's Rally from the PlayStation 1, this is that, but it's a new one on Steam. I used to, like, I don't like racing games at all, but for some reason rally games, they tickle a soft spot for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because there's not other cars on the road and it's more like a time trial. Maybe that appeals to me. And so I did enjoy this a bit. However, it's not like the best. I played it for like an hour and I was like, yeah, man, that sure is like the games that it's trying to be like. And then I didn't play it again. So I do think it has to go in An Game. You know what? I think it lives with WitchHand. I think it lives with WitchHand, where it's a game that I had a decent amount of fun with. And then suddenly, as if like a flash of lightning hit me, was like, you know what? I don't need to play this anymore. And so, yeah, I think like it lives next to WitchHand. I think that's a good spot for it. Definitely not a bad game. For some people, it will be a good game. But for me, it's just An Game. Final four. Yellow Taxi goes vroom. I should show you gameplay for this one. I get the feeling like chat are going to enjoy this one, because it's colourful and fun. Yellow Taxi goes vroom trailer. Here it is. So Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom is a very hyperactive platformer where you play as a car. It is crazy and unhinged and pretty fun. Because you're a car, you can't control yourself in the way a person would. So your momentum is very much straightforward and you can skid and slide. But your options are more limited than in a normal platformer. And it does create some pretty fun, high-paced gameplay. It's sillier than I could have ever imagined. It is a very silly game. And I did play this. This almost certainly has to go higher than Old School Rally, because while I did stop playing this, I could go back to it someday. I had fun. It is Car Sonic, actually. Yeah, you're not wrong. It is very Car Sonic. I could definitely go back to this someday. Because I did have a lot of fun, and I don't think I exhausted the amount of fun I could have out of this. I think there's more fun to be had in Yellow Taxi Go Vroom. So, I think it is Judd. I think it goes next to Duck Detective. Yeah, it goes back to Duck Detective. I don't know what I would describe the aesthetic. It kind of feels like Polygonal Wario is what I would describe the aesthetic as. It's pretty cool. You can also wear hats. And you can put a hat on your taxi as character customization. You can unlock new hats. One of the hats is just a big slab of meat. And you can also get a hat that is like 10 hats, all stacked on top of each other. So you can be a very, very, very tall taxi with 10 hats. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun game. And yeah, so there you go. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. I think I'm going to put it actually above Duck Detective because of how short and linear Duck Detective is. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom has a lot more content and pretty fun. However, I play Dice and Fold a lot, so it can't go above Dice and Fold, but it does live here in Judd Jame. Thank you very much. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. Next up, Yume Nikki. Who among you is cultured in the chat? Who knows Yume Nikki? Who in the chat knows what Yume Nikki translates to in English? I'm really putting you to the test here, chat. So, Yume Nikki, if you know a game like Omori, if you know a game like Undertale, if you know a game like Deltarune, these are all ripping off Yume Nikki. Sorry. Yume Nikki came out first, and honestly, Toby Fox needs to pay reparations because this game is ripped on so much. Like, so much of what makes Yume Nikki unique is then just recycled in Undertale, Deltarune, and Omori. It's crazy. It's crazy how similar they are. So, this is Yume Nikki. You explore various dreams, like dream worlds. You can already see what I'm talking about, right? Like, you can already see what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's good. It's way less structured than something like Undertale or Deltarune or Omori. It is much more freeform. Yume Nikki is pretty good. However, it is, like I say, way less structured than something like Omori or Deltarune or Undertale. You may wander around if you boot up Yume Nikki as, you know, a completely blind playthrough, and you may not really find anything you're supposed to do. You may see some weird visuals, and then you may go, okay, I think I'm done. The best way to play Yume Nikki is how I played it, which is to have advice from someone who knows Yume Nikki, and so that you can actually find the content easier. Because there's a ton of content in Yume Nikki, but it is very easy to just find literally none of it. So I would recommend either a guide, a non-spoiler guide if you can, or something, just to make sure, well, no, I would recommend first things first, you play it completely blind and just explore it, and then when you find that you have exhausted everything you can locate and you feel like you've run out of game, then look up a guide. That's what I would say. Because there is tons in this game, but a lot of this game is hidden, and you need to figure it out. And sometimes figuring it out is so obscure that it is kind of not realistic that someone would figure it out. It is definitely Judd, honestly. Like, I feel like just because so many very popular and very good games lifted so heavily from Yume Nikki, this is my form of reparations. I will list it like here. It's like halfway up Judd Jame. This is like it getting its credit for influencing so much of the games that would come after it. By the way, when I say Toby Fox needs to pay reparations, I'm not saying that Toby Fox is a hack fraud. Toby Fox acknowledges this as well. There is a tweet from Toby Fox saying something like, there's an anniversary for Yume Nikki, and he tweeted something like, It's very cute that a fan game inspired by my game would have an anniversary. Good job. And it's like clearly him making fun of the fact that he ripped off Yume Nikki a lot. So he's aware. So I'm not like particularly throwing him under the bus here. But yeah, a lot of Undertale and Deltarune comes from this, and Amore as well. Toby Frogs. Toby Frogs is Toby Fox's arch nemesis. Next up, Alyssa. Alyssa is an old school survival horror, kind of like Resident Evil 1, 2, 3. It's pretty good. It has the vibe of those games, and even down to the voice acting being pretty bad. The voice acting is pretty bad, and that adds a lot of authentic charm. It is a good game, in my opinion, by quite a lot. Toby Fraud. Oh my god, the backseat Toby Fox beef starts now. I'm sure I will win that beef. No one has ever lost a beef against Toby Fox. Nah, I like Toby Fox, but what was I talking about? What game am I even on now? I got sucked back into Yume Nikki land. What was I even ranking? Alyssa. Alyssa's a pretty good old school RP, PS1 kind of survival horror. It's just a lot of fun. If you like that sort of old school survival horror, then you'll like this. And I do like this. I do like that sort of game. I think it is actually... I think it's like Northern Journey. It's quite similar to Northern Journey. Lethal Company is in the wrong place. It needs to go above Northern Journey. That's better. That's better. Yeah, Northern Journey and Alyssa both have the same kind of charmingly retro vibe that if you like a genre, you will love it. And if you don't like that, then you probably won't. So yeah, Alyssa lives there. I can imagine a lot of people bouncing off it. Oh, Lethal Company's being actively robbed? You know what? Fine. There. I've moved it up a few more spots. There you go. There you go. Another perfect split on the vote. Chat are very divided about a lot of these games. Anyway, there's Alyssa. Very nice. I think that's a good spot for it. The final game. It's Five Nights at Freddy's. We're ending with a bang, chat. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. Now, let's talk about the game that this rips off. Only kidding. I mean, this does take a lot from Clock Tower, but it has enough of its own ideas, I think. So, FNAF Into the Pit is a Clock Tower-esque game. 2D kind of being chased by a killer game. When I was looking at trailers for FNAF Into the Pit, I thought the art looked pretty bad. And every time everyone was like, the pixel art is so good. And I was like, really? But I will say that in motion and in gameplay, it's really fluid in a really satisfying way, to the point that I feel like I'm actually kind of neutral on the art style overall, because the fluid animation on the pixel art when it's like close up is really good. Yeah, the close-up pixel art when you're hiding and the animation that plays during that is really good. So it is actually... It looks better than I thought it looked before I played it. But now I've also played it. I also think the gameplay is good. I also think the multiple endings is good. I think the story is fun in a really weird way. It is definitely a good game. It's definitely better than the glitched attraction as well. It's more my kind of thing. I feel so bad for Nine Souls, man. I almost feel like I should take Nine Souls off of here, because every time I see Nine Souls here, I'm like, it needs to be higher than that. But I don't know, because I've not finished it. So, but like, it feels like Nine Souls should be up here, right? But I've not played enough. So I don't know, sadly. You know what? Just so I stop feeling like I'm cringing, I'll move it up. Just... You know, out of goodwill, I'll move it up. But it shouldn't be down there. FNAF Into the Pit. I like it better than Finding Frankie. I like it better than Sunless Sea. I like it better than Buckshot. It's there. It's there. I reached the point where I stopped being comfortable. Home Safety Hotline is exactly my sort of thing. I really love the humor. and I loved the gameplay, and I loved doing the streams. So FNAF Into the Pit gets up here. It is better than Buckshot because it's got way more stuff going on. And these games are also good, but like, they're good in a way that I'm like, I respect it. Good job. Whereas FNAF Into the Pit, I feel like has even more than that going on. So that's where I'm going to put FNAF Into the Pit. There are some people, when I was saying that FNAF Into the Pit was good, there were some people saying it was bad when it came out. I wonder if people have changed in that regard. I wonder if people now agree that it's good. But I did get some pushback of people saying it was bad when I was saying it was good when it came out. I don't know what that was about. But it is good. Why not transition into a 9 Souls stream? People didn't like it because it was different? Maybe. This isn't a tier list of horror games. This is a tier list of games that I played in 2024. Okay, now with all that out of the way, we have completed all of the games. That means that it is now time to, sadly, change ZANE of the Year to Game of the Year. ZANE needs to come back down. And we now need to pick a Game of the Year. So, honestly, it's either going to be Balatro, UFO 50. I can't give it to Elden Ring, so it has to be one of these two. I love UFO 50, and I spent so much of my time playing UFO 50, but I feel like for the sheer achievement of making a crystallized diamond of pure gameplay perfection, I think I have to give it to Balatro. UFO 50 is the one I've spent the most time with, but Balatro is kind of like a perfect creation that probably deserves Game of the Year. So I will give Balatro my Game of the Year. That's up at the top. And at the bottom, in the stink of the year, honestly, it's Unplagued. Like, it is definitely Unplagued. Even Baisu, with all of its problematicness, there were some interesting bits of it. Unplagued has had one interesting bit that was the concept that doesn't work. So it has to be the stink of the year at the bottom. People really want me to move Ao Oni up, so there you go. There you go. Well, now I feel bad about Rental. All right, fine. There. Now I feel bad about Rental because all of these are undeniably stinky. But if Rental was the only game down there that wasn't undeniably stinky, then like it would look worse. I mean, I feel better about this than I do about this because I don't think Rental deserves to be singled out like that. Ao Oni's Clock Tower, well, it's kind of Clock Tower, but it's from an RPG Maker top-down perspective, and the puzzles are pretty brutal. Rental belongs down there. Rental is kind of nothing. I don't think Rental deserves to be in Stinky. You see, the chat are divided, which is why this isn't a democracy, and so I will make my own decisions. So let me think. Now, you're going Stinky. I'm sorry, Ao Oni. You're going Stinky. I'm going to do this instead. No, I can't do... No, I'm sticking to my guns. Chat, you're making me overthink. You're making me overthink. The order I had the first time was correct. I was correct the first time. I do think that there's a big separation here, though. I think Ao Oni and Rental are here, and then these are, like, over here. There's like a big gap in quality. But Rental is more like an art style proof of concept, but they forgot to put a game on it. And Ao Oni is like influential and there's content, but I just had a pretty bad time playing it. So it goes here. But I can understand why Ao Oni might be up here for someone. But for me, I literally can't put it any higher because you all saw the stream. You all saw the stream. You wouldn't believe me if I said it was good or fine after what I went through. We sure saw it. But anyway, that is my tier list of all the games I played in 2024. Every single one. I looked at every game I played on Steam. I looked at every game I played on the PlayStation. This is every game I played in 2024 and how I rank them. No hard feelings to these guys. No hard feelings to these guys. These are also definitely no hard feelings. They're fine. These are all really good games that I would probably recommend every single one of them to the right person. And Balatro is a banger. How about this, chat? For the sake of YouTube not beating me up and throwing me in a river, what one game on my tier list is the one game that you disagree with so much that you think it ruins the tier list? What is the one game you disagree with? And tell me if it should go higher or lower. Doom Eternal lower? Wow, that is a spicy take. Content warning should be higher, says Tremac. Lethal higher. ZANE higher. I'll move ZANE a little bit higher. There you go. Indigo needs higher. Indigo. A lot of people are saying Indigo. So I guess we've figured out that this is where, like I say, the thing is about Indigo Park is it nails half of what it wants to do, and then the gameplay part is very lacking. And I don't think that that's a controversial thing to say, and I do think that the devs agree and will improve upon that. I think if I ranked this like Indigo Park up here, and then Indigo Park Chapter 2 came out, and it had really compelling gameplay, then everyone would be like, oh my god, this is so much better than Chapter 1. It has actual gameplay. But they would only say that because the second one is better. Now, because this is the only one out, people want to rank it higher, right? But like, I think when number 2 comes out and people see what this can be, people will agree with this. That's what I think. That's so many games. There is so many games, and also so many good games. I think it's like half or more than half of them are good games. So I clearly played a lot of good games this year. So I'm pretty happy with that. Hello there, Backseat from the Edit here. Well done for making it through an entire stream, or maybe even an entire playlist. If you weren't using these videos to fall asleep and are still awake, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and here's some options if you want to watch some more. Bye-bye.